Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean.
What is up, everybody? Happy holiday weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend, kicking off on Monday, which is the unofficial start of summer for most folks. I am Rob Ellis. He is Derek Gunn. We are Sports Take. Yo, what's up, everybody? What is up, Tyler, Forrest, Adam, Mr. Taz, Gigi? Everybody's doing well out there, I hope. How you doing, Gunner?
Good, man. You're right. Memorial Day kicks off the start of summer. But from my perspective, there's a lot of good, but there's a little bad behind it also. Because you see, where I live in Delaware, I'm not too far off Route 1. And Route 1 is the main vein going to the Delaware beaches. And starting Memorial Day weekend, Route 1 on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays is congested going and coming for the multitudes of people that head to the Delaware beaches. And I'm not talking about just Delawareans. We get a lot of people, New York, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and you see places from other states above Delaware as well. So it's like a log jam at certain times of the day. Once you live here, you know how to try to navigate around it, what times of day are worse than others. Usually Fridays is bad going south to the beaches because everybody's heading there. Saturdays is usually bad coming back from the beaches, Route 1 north, because a lot of people are checking out of places they've rented on a Saturday morning heading back home. So from now until through Labor Day weekend, we have to deal with that. And then the Delaware Memorial Bridge is a nightmare going and coming. So,
it's chaos, I know.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter. Like if you're traveling south from Pennsylvania area, Jersey area, you're traveling south, you go through Delaware, or if you're coming south, headed back north.
Yeah.
Once you get to like Richmond, DC, Baltimore, it is absolutely the worst. I mean, the worst, whether you're on 95 or 495 or whatever the case may be. It is just utter chaos. Everybody plans that way. It's like, all right, I'm going on a trip. We're driving down to North Carolina. We know we're in for just craziness. Can't we do anything to fix this? Like, what is happening here?
I know. And the worst part about DC is that loop. You ever go around that loop?
Yeah.
Dude, that is the absolute worst. Most of my friends who know this area and that area, we find routes to go around it. It may take you a little bit longer. Yeah, the Beltway. That's it, the Beltway.
Yep.
And you find ways to get around it. But you know what happens? The more you use the alternative routes,
the more people are keen to.
Other people start figuring it out.
Well, with Waze and GPS and everything else that people have now, you think you're the only one that Waze is sending that way? They're sending everybody that way because they see all that traffic. That's for sure. But I see Duck, I see Chris D, our girl, I see Forrest, I see Jeremy. What's up, everybody?
Wait. Stop.
I haven't seen Fitness Rebel yet. I would have acknowledged Fitness Rebel.
Everybody,
ASAP.
you are witnesses. We have not seen Fitness Rebel.
I'm innocent. I swear.
Hey, let's go back to Duck for a moment. Said, I just missed him. Hey, everyone, did you see Rob blush like a schoolboy on Birds 365? You were blushing?
I don't know. What was I blushing for?
You were blushing. Justin Hoffa, what up?
I don't know. What's up, Justin? Fitness Rebel.
Oh, Fitness Rebel late. You're fined $25. $25 fine for being late.
So I need Duck to inform me. Look, it doesn't take much for me to blush. Number one, as you guys know, I'm like see-through. Any it doesn't take much, but from Breland. I don't think I blushed. Breland was great. We had her, Breland from Fox 29. She was on Birds 365 with John McMullen and myself, and she was really funny, man. Like she told, I didn't realize this. She was a mascot for the Temple Owls. She was the owl. Okay.
I heard that.
Yeah. And she was a mascot in high school too. Like she has serious mascot training and background there. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. But she was good. I didn't know she had covered previously the Bills and the Chiefs in her earlier stops before she got there. So
let me ask you this, because you went to Temple. Now, I know in a lot of institutions, like the bigger schools, if you're the mascot, you get some kind of scholarship or financial aid. Was that the case at Temple also?
I don't know. Like here, I do know St. Joe's. The way it used to work with St. Joe's was every year a senior would be the hawk, would get the job, whatever it is. You got a full ride that year.
Okay.
Your year, if you were there. But you could only do it for 1 year, and it was only seniors who were eligible. That's the way it would be at St. Joe's. I don't know how it works at other schools. I think so. But Fitness Rebel, how many jobs? Yeah, I don't know, man. It's a good question. I'm not even sure at this point, Fitness Rebel, how many. But no, I don't know. I should have asked her that. That's one of the things I should have asked her, but it was good. The conversation was good. She was talking about the Kelsey's, and it was a lot of fun. If you get a chance to check it out, you can always go back and watch it.
If I had a chance to be the mascot of St. Joe's, if it was between getting scholarship money at St. Joe's to be the hawk or pay tuition or take out student loans, I would take out student loans. Because I'm not sitting there flapping. The Hawk at St. Joe's, every basketball game, the entire game has to do this.
That's
like
flapping the wings. You will lose your gig if you're not doing it.
Are you
will
serious?
Lose your job if you're not doing it. Correct.
Dude, that's like 2.5 hours.
You have to have at least one of your wings flapping, at least one, at all times while you are seen on that floor. Whether it's before, like if you run out on the floor in warm-ups, you better be doing this entire game until you are off and into your locker room or whatever. So
I'm sorry if that's the case. Where do I sign up for financial aid? I'll go into debt before I do that, man. That's you got to be in shape to do that, man.
That's serious. That's cardio.
Oh
man.
My goodness,
that's some serious cardio. It's no joke. Yeah, it is no joke. But yeah, so that was pretty funny. But all right, so here's where we are. We as I mentioned, it's Memorial Day weekend, so I want to bounce some stuff off of you. All right. Sort of like either or, and please, everybody in the chat, jump in too on this. I'm going to throw you either or equations related to holiday weekends. Okay. All right. Now, obviously, most importantly, we know what Memorial Day weekend stands for, and it's to remember those we lost, who paid the ultimate price for our freedom. So we thank, their families. We are appreciative of those folks, and thanks to everybody active military too. All right. So let me just say that. Okay, so here we go. And because of them, we're allowed to do this goofy stuff that we do. So thank you. All right. So your choice, Gunner. Your choice.
Well, we're doing it now?
All right. You know what? Let's hold it. Let me hold it for about 5 minutes. All right. I'll get to it.
That's cool. Whenever you want to do it, it's fine.
Let me give you the sports rundown. So the Phillies lost again last night. Aaron Nola was not good. Gregory Soto was not good. The offense tried to bring them back twice.
You see your boy, John Dickerson. We all know D-Gun is more of a turkey than a hawk. Hey, John, I got you, man. Okay, man. All right. You want to start my holiday weekend off like that, man? All right.
That's going to bring D-Gun out. That's what that's going to do. Okay.
All right. Keep talking.
He's poking the tiger, man. It's like they did with Jimmy Butler a couple games ago. Not what you want to be doing. All right.
I didn't mean to break your train of thought, but I couldn't.
No, I'm not. No worries. So, all right. So the so the Phillies came back a couple of times last night, but you could tell from the jump, Aaron Nola didn't really have it. And then Gregory Soto, who's another one who's just been all over the place for them. He's either lights out or he's terrible. Was terrible last night. And they lose. And here's the thing, Derek, and then we're going to do a full Philly segment in a little bit. What I don't want to keep hearing, I don't mean from you, but people keep saying, oh, they've been mediocre. You know what? We're getting to the point where they haven't even been mediocre.
No,
we're getting into bad territory now. That's where we are.
Yeah, and once again, Rob, it was what we were talking about yesterday. You get the timely hitting, you don't get the pitching. You get the timely pitching, the hitting goes dormant. It's the same thing. Now, 3 times in this game they tied Atlanta, and I'm thinking, okay, they're gonna make a statement in this game, and then next thing you know, Soto, who can throw 99, 100, he can't hit the broadside of a barn. I don't know what's going on with Aaron Nola. I really don't. And I don't know, and I'm not here speculating. Right. I don't know if this contract thing is bothering him. I don't know what it is, dude, but he's not hitting his targets. The Aaron Nola that we know when it's on point is so good. His fastball is only 93, 94. It's funny how we used to see guys throw 93, 94, we used to go, man, that's pretty fast. Now, 93, 94 is like pedestrian. But when Nola's on top of his breaking pitches and hitting the corners, dude, he mixes his pitches up so well, and that's what made him so lethal when he's in a groove. But this season, dude, he can't find a groove. His last outing, we agreed, probably his best outing of the season.
Oh, he was excellent last outing, yeah.
But then he comes back and throws this mess.
Well, here's what I noticed, and you point out something that I think is critical. He's not a guy who's going to throw 100, but he's had better velocity last year than previous seasons. What happens with that then is your off-speed stuff, that your change-up, et cetera, that you're trying to throw past these guys, doesn't work as effectively because there's a very little difference. All right, you're throwing 91 with your heater, and you're throwing 88 with your change-up. It's the same thing.
Yes,
you're not changing guys' eye levels. They're not out in front. It's none of that, and that's one of the biggest problems with him is. And I just don't think he's locating. I mean, I think it was the first one of the. Was the second Austin Riley. The first Austin Riley was just a cookie, which anybody's going to crush. It's a problem.
His breaking pitches are hanging across the plate like flying saucers. It's just hovering right across the plate. There's no snap on his breaking pitches at all. And, he wants this big money contract. And whether the Phillies give it to him or not, what do you think other organizations are thinking right now?
Yeah.
That probably went into this season all saying, if they needed pitching in 2024, hey, on our list of potential gets for next season, Aaron Nola's right there. Now he's slowly starting to sign down the priority list.
Yep.
And rightfully so. I mean, he's got to come out of this. But see, Aaron Nola is just another in the long line of what we've been talking about the entire month of May. The inconsistency across the board. Trey Turner, Castellanos, Realmuto, all these guys, Wheeler, Soto, and Suarez can't even. Suarez is not nearly close to what we want him to be or what he's expected to be.
Yeah.
It's like an epidemic in that clubhouse right now, dude.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's a lot of underachieving happening with this team, that's for sure. So they lose again last night. Tell you what, this thing's gotten really interesting now, Gunner. The Celtics win last night, and all of a sudden this thing is 3-2 Heat. They're going back to Miami tomorrow, and Boston's a favorite at Miami.
I am not surprised one iota. 2 games in a row now after that debacle they put up in Game 3. 2 games in a row now. Boston has played like the Boston team I expected to see. Boston should be up in this series 3-2 minimum. But they came out the first 3 games and did not finish what they started. The last 2 games, their defense is thoroughly frustrated Miami. They've hit like 18 and 16 threes. They couldn't hit the ocean the first 3 games with their 3-pointers. They're playing like that team that went to the conference finals last year.
Yep. And
now the pressure that has been squarely on Boston has now shifted to Miami, because if Miami cannot find a way, if they don't find a way to get it done tomorrow, guess what? You go back to Boston for Game 7. And no team in the history of the NBA playoffs has ever overcome a 0-3 hole. You do not want to allow this Boston team to be there first, because then you've got Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Buckets. You guys are going to have a long offseason trying to figure out what happened.
Yeah, you are. And this would be epic. It would be epic, up 3-0 and coughing that thing up. And I'll tell you, there's 2 things that I notice. But Boston's hitting shots. That's the obvious thing. But they've also turned their defense up in a big way. I mean, you're seeing both. And the other thing is, last night Miami was without Gabe Vincent. That was a big, big loss for them.
Dude, that was huge.
Because here's what you really know. And I think Bam Adebayo has been awful the last 2 games. It's like Jimmy Butler has no help. You almost want, like, it's miraculous they won the first 3 games. Like, Boston has so much more talent on paper. Like, I mean, it's not even close. So this thing is doable, man. It's very, very doable that Boston comes back. I'd hate to see it because I hate Boston, but it is very, very doable that they come back in this.
I just want to see a 7th game. I just want to see the storyline. You're right. You said Dallas is your most hated football team.
Yeah.
You've always, said that you have no affection for any New York team.
You're right.
For me, when it comes to the NBA, Boston is at the top of my hate list.
Yeah.
For a number of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing I want to do is see Boston win anything, but I do want to see a 7th game. I just want to see a 7th game. I want to see how that storyline plays itself out.
Yeah, I'm with you. There is a little part of me that's like sort of wants the chaos, man. That would be a game 7. So they would play game 6 is tomorrow. Game 7 would be Monday if there was a game 7. So we'll see how that shakes out. I know. I don't know how many people paying attention to this, but the Stars stayed alive last night. They beat the Golden Knights in game 5 of the Western Conference Finals. Whoever wins that will end up playing the Florida Panthers. So we'll see if Vegas can close it out next game. Don't know right now.
If I'm Florida, I'm like the Denver Nuggets. Hey, keep knocking each other around.
Yep.
Keep playing.
Yep.
Just keep playing. The more you play, the more rest we get. Just keep going ahead.
Beat each other up.
Keep extending that series, man. More power to you.
100% with you. All right. So lastly, our Memorial Day fun and games. Okay. Again, so let's get everybody involved here. All right. For the weekend, I'm going to give you sort of an either or choice. There's one category where I'm going to give you 3, just one.
3. Okay.
Just one, but everything else is just one or the other. All right. Beach or mountains? A lot of people like to escape to both, for holiday weekends and when the weather's nice. And when the mountains, that applies to the cold weather too. But if you had your druthers, you had your choice, you could go either. Which one would you go to?
I'm not a mountain climber. You got to have stamina and endurance to do that. But what I do like is this. When I go visit my brother in Arizona, the Sedona Mountains are right there. Have you ever been to the Sedona Mountains?
I have not.
It is the most breathtaking mountain range you will ever see. All of the mountains are like red. The dirt is red. And it's so serene up there. And this is a town of Sedona. It has great. Believe it or not, when you're driving this one lane road, 2-lane road into the mountain area, you got all these nice hotels like the Best Westerns and stuff. And then you go further, you have the town of Sedona, great gift shops, nice restaurants. Mm-hmm. Between the hotels and the town itself, you can park your car and when you can walk the mountain ranges. Now, the difference is, unlike, in your mind, you're thinking typical mountains. In this case, there's paths on these mountains you can walk that are very,
you're not actually climbing rocks.
You're not climbing.
Yeah.
And you can mark, and you walk, and you're looking down in these steep valleys, man.
Okay.
It's so beautiful, right? But I'm going to have to say beaches only because with all the congestion on the beaches, if you got to get there by a certain time, if you don't, you might not get a good spot, and then you got the kids, I'm hungry. And luckily, a lot of the Delaware beaches have a boardwalk right there. So you got plenty of food to choose from, stuff like that. Push come to shove, I'm going to go beaches.
Okay.
I love this. Me, I love the heat. And when you get too hot, just step right in the water. Although, as I've told you time and time again, with all the crazy things going on in the water, I don't go above my knees anymore.
Yeah, I hear you.
At the very worst, my waist. But see, that depends on how many people are in the water. If there's a lot of people in the water, the chances of something happening to me lessen.
Well, that works both. Okay, so that works both ways. The chances of something happening to you lessen, correct. But when there are a lot of people in the ocean, people tend to sometimes use the ocean as a restroom.
Yes.
So give or take. All right. So my answer is beach. My answer is beach. Now, I will tell people, if you haven't been up the valley, we live where we live. It's Poconos, generally is where you end up going in this neck of the woods. But if you have been to the mountains in the summertime, it's really cool. You can do some whitewater rafting and stuff like that. It's just really fun. Like it is absolutely worth it. It's not super hot. Like it's great. It's really fun. I'm definitely a beach person. I'm not one who could sit there I don't want to be baking on the beach, but I like the beach better. I like the whole atmosphere, the whole vibe. I'm like you. I like the heat. It doesn't bother me particularly. So I will take the beach all day. I like the whole atmosphere. I like walking the boardwalk. I like if you can find a nice restaurant right there on the water. Like I'm in, man. That's way more my speed. I like both. I'm taking beach though. Beach is my preference.
Um, I love. Here's the thing. I love the Poconos in the winter. They have that. What's it called? The Blue Mountain. Blue Mountain, and I don't like a lot of winter stuff. I don't like going, but I've been there a couple of times in the Blue Mountain area where you can go snowboarding, snow tubing.
Yeah.
It's like a winter amusement park. And when you get too cold, they have this indoor facility where you can go sit and you can get food and you can get like hot cocoa, coffee, stuff like that. And I like that, but I'll do that once in a blue moon. When it comes to the beaches, I don't go to the Jersey beaches anymore. I'm not paying to sit on a beach. They charge you to sit on the beach.
Some do, some don't. Like Wildwood does not. However, Sea Isle does. I believe Avalon does. Yeah, there too many of them do. I agree. I think the beach tag thing is absurd. It's just you're already milking me, and everything's already overpriced. You know, to do that is just it's ridiculous. But that's one of the things I will give Wildwood. Now, Wildwood made a very big change this past week, Derek.
Okay.
They are no longer allowing alcohol on the beach.
Good.
They're cracking down hardcore on alcohol on the beach. So just an FYI for friends who might be heading down this weekend, you just be alert of that. But yeah, good. But Wildwood does not charge though. I will give them that. You can go to their beaches and it's free. So that's cool.
I understand people like to take a cooler, of beverages and sit in the hot sun and drink and all that good stuff and then cool themselves off in the water. But you get a few people who overdo it. Yeah. And they get too loud and they get obnoxious. And the beach time is supposed to be, whether you're single, whether you're by yourself with a group of friends or taking your family, the beach is supposed to be a very relaxed environment, uninhibited, and you shouldn't have to worry about things. You shouldn't have to worry about somebody being drunk on the beach. And sometimes you see bottles that are laying in the sand instead of in the containers. Now, all beaches have enough containers where you can put them in there.
No doubt.
But
there's
some
enough
people just flip them on the beach, on the sand.
To me, that's a disgrace. I mean, when you leave any kind of trash, whether it's I'm not, it could be anything. Leave the sandwich wrapper, whatever. That's a disgrace because it's going to end up in the water, and we got enough problems already with the polluted water, and it's bad for all of us. It's bad for the fish. It's bad for everything. So yeah, you got just have the common decency. Oh, just bring a little bag with you. You can stuff it in your bag. Go over to the trash can when you're leaving or going to the bathroom, whatever you're doing, and just throw it out. That's all. It's not that hard. All right. So we're all agreed beaches. All right. This is going to be a tough one, Derek.
Okay.
All right. It's going to be a tough one. When you're grilling, and I'm staying basics here. I'm not, I know you can do some creative stuff on the grill. I'm going basic.
Oh, wait. Tone said, I'm going to hide my wine in a thermos. Come on, Tone. Come on, man.
There'll be a lot of creativity going on with that. That's for sure. All right. On the grill, I'm going to give you 3 choices here.
All right.
Hot dog, burger, sausage.
Oh, man.
You have to choose one of those 3. We're not going to veer off into everything else that everybody grills. Just of those 3, where are you going, man?
I got to let you go first. I got to think about this one because that's a tough one for me.
You're going to be surprised. First of all, I like all 3 on the grill a lot. Like if you handed me any of those 3, I'm good, and you won't get any complaints out of me. Okay.
Okay.
But I love a hot dog on the grill. I know it sounds like childish. I don't care. I did them 2 weeks ago, and I forgot how much I liked a hot dog on the grill. Give me a hot dog.
Dude, I love the char marks on the hot dog.
That's the way I like it. That's exactly the way I like it. A little charred.
A little char, and I do like one side slightly more crisp than the other side. So I like them a little crisp.
You got to stay on a hot dog though when you're grilling. You got to be like you got to be. There's a lot of maintenance with a hot dog as opposed to a burger or something else.
Man, let's see. Oh my goodness, see. I love a burger on the grill, man. Especially when you put the cheese on, close the lid, and let that cheese melt on the grill. And and I love doing burgers on the charcoal grill because the flavor is so much better than a gas grill. Mm-hmm. Because I'll throw in a couple wood chips to get some smoke in that burger also.
Yeah.
And then with the sauteed onion, my wife, a little butter, and she sautés the onions in the pan, and so the grilled onion. But dude, I also love kielbasa. Mm-hmm. Beef sausage, and my favorite are Johnsonville brats.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're forcing me to make a decision.
Nobody said this was going to be easy, Derek. Nobody said it. Yeah.
I love a good hot dog. I love a good burger.
Yes.
But if I can get a Johnsonville brat off a grill, I'm in heaven, dude.
All right. I like
I
it.
love a good charred
You and
Johnsonville
Tone are on the
brat.
same page. You're
Yeah,
both going the
man.
sausage route. Okay. Okay.
The Tone with the and man, I tell you what, we buy the big packs at BJ's and Costco's.
Oh yeah. They get the circles.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and either beef or kielbasa.
Yes.
I love a good beef or kielbasa, but I have to go sausage because Johnsonville brats are right there at the top of my wish list.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a tough one. That was not easy. I know.
Man, it hurt. It hurt.
I know. All right. So people want to keep jumping in. Feel free. All right. This is backyard activity. Would you prefer to just chill on the deck, or do you like to get out in the yard with a lounge chair? Just kind of kick it in the grass a little bit and do your thing. You going deck? You going actual lawn to relax?
I would have to say deck.
Okay.
As much as I love being out in the yard, you know me, I love working
you're
in
a
the
yard
yard.
guy. Yep.
I love digging up and planting stuff. I would have to say the deck because you prefaced it by saying when you're lounging.
Yeah.
I don't want to just lounge in the direct sun with no option to either jump in the water to cool off or go. I'll say under the deck because I got my speakers hooked up now that my son Tina and son-in-law Alex gave me. I got my redone entire patio deck now with a big pergola canopy over it. It's a 12 by 14 big pergola. So I can sit under there, listen to my music, have a nice cold beverage, kick my feet up on the patio furniture, and either just sit there and just look at my phone, checking Twitter and social media, texting, getting caught up on texts, or just close my eyes and lay my head back like this. And for a few moments before a bee starts buzzing around my face, just watch time pass by. So I gotta say the deck in this regard.
Here's why I would go deck, and it's a slight lean. Again, this is there's no wrong answers. All right, but I'm going deck because it's a bit of a distinguisher with bugs. There's you can control the bug situation a little bit better on a deck than you can if you're sitting in the middle of the grass, in my opinion. Okay,
right.
With your tiki torches that have the anti-bugs.
Yes.
So slight lean, like I said. Plus, you probably have more comfortable deck furniture than you do just the basic lounge chair.
Absolutely.
Or whatever the case may be on the grass. But I do love like the outdoor activities. I love playing cornhole.
I agree.
Kids were little, we played wiffle ball all the time. Like I love that stuff. But I'm probably going deck.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point. I have 8 tiki torches around my deck all the way around because we have patio furniture on this side and we have another set of patio furniture over here. One part of it is covered, one part is not. But at night in the evening, when all the mosquitoes come out and they start tapping your veins, looking for somewhere to dig in, the tiki torches, we light them up. They look nice in the night ambiance. And I also have a couple of bug zappers.
Yep, I do too.
You plug them babies in, all of a sudden you're having a conversation, all you hear is, But here's the thing. The dang tiki torches don't work in terms of keeping mosquitoes away from you. They look nice. They don't work. So my wife gets these things called citronella candles and put right on the table.
Yes.
And those work.
Yeah. And
the bug zappers help. But mosquitoes aren't drawn to light like other bugs are, like the moths and things like that. And then I think it was JM who brought up a good point. Yeah. Carpenter bees are always a battle with my pergola. You know what, JM? You're exactly right. Because you're sitting there relaxed. And all of a sudden, carpenter bees that look exactly like the bumblebee start hovering like helicopters in front of your face, and they eat up the wood on your deck. If you don't, so I get this. I go to Home Depot and Lowe's, and I buy this spray specifically for carpenter bees. And I'm like a kid, dude. My wife and kids are like, "What is wrong with you?" Yeah. I can't wait for one to come near me so I can hit them with that spray. Yeah. And all of a sudden, you see them zoom. And I think a lot of people are afraid of carpenter bees because they don't distinguish between the two. Carpenter bees don't sting. They just chew away at the wood on your deck. Bumblebees obviously sting you. If you swat at a bumblebee too much, you tick them off and they'll come at you. Yeah. But you can tell the difference in the two because bumblebees are always moving like this. Carpenter bees move in stagnated patterns. They hover like this, like back and forth. They only fly away when you spray them with a water hose or you spray them directly. So you're right. But carpenter bees, in a lot of ways, are worse than mosquitoes because once they start attacking your deck,
they take it apart.
Stopping them things, man.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. All right. So we'll keep going here. Fireworks, yay or nay? yes or no on fireworks. I am a strong no.
Are you really?
I am.
I used to love fireworks when my kids were little because my kids would be there, ooh, ah, oh, that kind of thing. I hate going to a destination, like at Penn's Landing in Philadelphia. That's where everybody wants to go to watch fireworks out over the water. I'm not doing that anymore. Now, where I live, and I don't know where they're coming from, but in a distance, there's enough parks around me. Yeah. We sit on the back patio deck and watch fireworks all night.
Same. Yeah. I can see them. There's a lot of high schools they'll do it or whatever that in your area. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if I sit, actually on my front steps is where I can see them in front of my house. But yeah, I don't listen. I'm not. The problem I have isn't necessarily like the people like the pros who do it. I don't know, pro, but whatever. Right. There's so many just knuckleheads in my neighborhood that just want to set this crap off. It scares the dog. It turns into a whole thing. Man.
I got 3 dogs I have to deal with.
Yep, exactly.
And they go nuts when they start the M80s. JM brings up another good point. The idiots in the neighborhood setting off the cherry bombs.
That's M80s. What I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yes.
Seriously. A lot of them sound like gunshots. And in this day and age,
it's just like pop, 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 pop. Yeah. You're like,
really?
What was that real? I mean, I have to be worried about something, but yeah.
The worst is the 4th of July because it starts July 3rd, the night of July 3rd.
And it goes till about July 8th.
Yes. Yeah. People have extra fireworks. Hey, let's keep going here, Yes. And you're right. And the dogs are under you. They're like deer ticks. You can't get the dogs off you. Mm-hmm. Or they're howling, barking unmercifully for hours.
Yep.
And then you get some people who have these, I don't know where they get them from, these fireworks. They sound like a boom, boom.
It's not just it's loud. It's like legitimately.
Yeah.
It can like shake the foundation kind of loud.
Yeah, man. It's like, but I love sitting on the patio and watching fireworks because you get a good hour's worth in any direction from where I live watching the fireworks. So, but you're right. The knuckleheads in the neighborhood that carry it a step too far make it bad for everybody.
Okay, last one. And then we're going to get to Eagles talk coming up. And then we have Mike Sealski at 1:00 to talk about the Sixers coaching search. The last one.
Tone said that may be dynamite.
Yeah, it could be. All right, last one. Water ice or ice cream as a treat after you've had your sausage or hamburger or hot dog. Yeah, which one are you going with?
Man, you are tough today.
And you can't answer gelati, which is a combination of both. Don't try.
That's what I was going to say.
Don't try and weasel out with that. No, you have to pick one. I agree. I love a gelati, but you got to pick one or the other. One or the other.
Let me start by saying my favorite ice cream is Brewster's butter pecan ice cream.
I love Brewster's.
Oh,
we used to have it all the time when we would go to Ocean City, Maryland, like Delaware. Yeah, love Brewster's.
Yeah, I have a Brewster's about 6 miles from me that we go to once a month. Our freezers are filled with pints, quarts of Brewster's. They're black walnut when they have it, butter pecan, and some of this peanut butter brickle stuff. I mean, great. I love my ice cream, but nothing beats a good water ice. See, I'm a slush kind of guy. I love a slush. I'll go to Dairy Queen and get a blue raspberry slush every now and then. I love a good slush. Water ice, Rita's water ice.
Oh,
Rita's water ice is like crack, man. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness.
I'm a cherry guy.
See, when it comes to Rita's water ice, I love the lemon. The lemon water ice is so good, man. And I love the lemon gelati. Man, and my family tells me I'm so predictable when it comes to certain things. Like when I go to Rita's, I always get the same thing.
Yeah.
When I go to a Mexican restaurant, I always judge a Mexican restaurant by the same meal.
You know what you like. I'm good with that.
My wife likes to try different things. Oh, you got to try different things. When you're paying good money, especially nowadays, overpriced, everything's overpriced. I don't want to walk away from a table saying, I didn't enjoy my meal. When we go to Italian restaurants, she likes to try different things. I already know what I want. Mm-hmm. I want to get my angel hair seafood fettuccine. And I want some scallops in it. I want some shrimp in it.
Yeah.
Or I might, a little crab meat or something like that. I'm good. Yeah. Why don't you get something else? Because I know I'm going to enjoy this.
I agree. The Cold Stone Creamery, for people who may not know, is really good. They're coming in fast and furious. Is good. Yes. That's up by Penn State, up on Penn State's main campus, right?
Wait, you don't have one near you?
Oh, there's Cold Stones. I'm thinking of the Penn State stuff. That's the creamery they just call it. But Cold Stone Creamery is great. Yeah, I have one near me. It's right, actually.
Yeah, I have one about Yeah, I want about another. Matter of fact, I have a Cold Stone right across the street from the Brewsters, where 6 miles from me. So I have either or. You're right. Cold Stone is awesome.
I probably go slight lean ice cream, but it is a difficult choice.
Really?
Yes. Barely.
Wow.
Barely. Yeah. But that's
see, I only picked water ice because if say you're drinking it out in a hot element, you're not in the house.
It's more refreshing if you're hot.
Yeah, and when it'll turn liquidy, but so you can drink the liquid off the bottom real quick and still have the ice in there.
Yes.
Whereas an ice cream, you got to eat it real fast.
And you got to go fast. It's chaos. Yeah.
I don't want to be in a 100-yard dash eating ice cream out in the warm weather.
Water ice is also better. Like if you're the one in the passenger seat, say you're not driving, it's easier in the car.
Yes.
But if you're in the car with ice cream, man, you got to be going hard because that's going to be all over you. Really quick.
Yes. So even when you have the AC on, if you're in the car, it's still hot enough to where it's dripping down you. I'm like, nah.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
I want to enjoy it in my leisure. I don't want to. I'm gonna be in a race to enjoy it.
I hear you. All right, it was fun. Well, maybe we'll mix in stuff later in the show too regarding Memorial Day. All right, let's come back. Let's talk some birds when we get back. We're gonna dig into a bunch of different things. I'm gonna ask you what the biggest loss you think is on the defensive line, and we're gonna project numbers for 2023. We're gonna look at what Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert did last year versus what we think they're going to do this year. All right. We'll get into all that when we come back at 1 o'clock. It'll be Mike Sealski. Yeah. Do you want to add something, Gunner? You want to throw something in there?
No, I'm good. I'm just looking at the chat. John Dickerson, one of the few times I will ever agree with you. Frozen custard in Wisconsin is really good. It is so good. Oh, my goodness. It's one of the few times, John, let me emphasize again. It's one of the few times I will ever agree with you on anything. I just want you to know that.
Yes, because he started with you early. I like it. He poked the bear early.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Let's come back. We'll do some birds. All right. He's Derek Gunn. I'm Rob Ellis. We're Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Let's talk about Bravo Pizza of Havertown because look, perfect, right? You don't feel like cooking tonight. Who feels like cooking? Who feels like cooking today for lunch? Get some Bravo Pizza of Havertown. They are proud sponsors of the channel of Sports Take as well. I've been going there since I was a kid. They've been family owned since 1985. You got Alex and the crew just doing their thing, man. 20 different styles of pizza. They do have slices as well if you just want to pop in and pop out. I love the upside down that they make, but they have this great, to me, I think there's a lot of times you get pigeonholed with certain kinds of pizza. Not the case with Bravo Pizza. They have the specialized pizza made your way. You request it, they'll make it for you. But they don't just have pizza. They have fresh pasta. They have sandwiches. They have wraps. They have wings. They have salads. They're also committed to the community. They hold fundraisers for charities, for schools, for little leagues all the time where the proceeds go to those organizations. You can follow them on Instagram or Facebook and get all the promotions and specials at the Bravo Pizza of Havertown. They're at 1305 Westchester Pike in the Manoa Shopping Center in Havertown. That's 1305 Westchester Pike in the Manoa Shopping Center in Havertown. Give them a call, 610-446-3810. 610-446-3810. Bravo Pizza of Havertown.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wild wood days.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, Birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Back. What's up, everybody? Appreciate you hanging out with us. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Let's hit that like button. We do appreciate it. All right, Gunnar, let's talk some birds here. Let's start with this. Let's do the projections first.
The projections, all right.
So we're going to look at last year's numbers, last year's stats for on the offensive side. We're going to do defense on Tuesday when we get back. All right. So we'll start with offense here. So last year, Jalen Hurts threw for 3,701 yards. He had a 66.5 completion percentage. He had 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and a 101.6 passer rating. He also rushed 165 times for 760 yards and had 13 touchdowns on the ground. So he had a total of 35 touchdowns altogether. Okay. So that's what he did last year, where he was runner-up MVP and All-Pro and all that stuff. Took the Eagles to the Super Bowl. All right. So my question for you is, let's look into your crystal ball here.
Okay.
At what he's going to do this year, how those numbers will improve, decline, stay the same. What are you projecting for him going into this upcoming season?
I predict that the passing numbers are going to go up and the rushing numbers are going to go down. And as we listen to Nick Sirianni talk about the evolution of his offense and how there will be more added to the offense, you know, they've done a great job of surrounding Jalen with enough pass catchers. We have to keep into consideration also that Dallas Goedert missed 5 games due to an injury.
Right.
So that took away some of the tight end element of the game. I think he will easily surpass 4,000 yards passing. And people want to make slight the fact that, oh, he only threw for 22 touchdowns. Well, he ran because that's a significant part of his game. He will still run, especially being the young quarterback that he is.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have to take into consideration he lost a couple of games because of a shoulder injury.
Mm-hmm.
And he played probably the rest of the season when he came back less than 100%, although he had a phenomenal game in that Super Bowl game. But I think Nick Sirianni is more concerned about keeping him upright and available for every game more so than putting him out there and exposing him to being hit more. 165 carries. He was the second leading rusher on that.
Right.
I don't like my quarterback being the second leading rusher. You know, I think that number of carries, 165, will go down. And his passing numbers, I do believe he will get close to 30 touchdown passes this year, may even surpass it, and pass for well over 4,000 yards this season.
Okay. I think that's fair. Look, I would look at it this way. Here's where I would go with him. I'm assuming health. I got 4,000 yards. I have 25 touchdowns. I have 7 interceptions.
Okay.
I have 68 completion percentage, up slightly from 66.5. 103 passer rating.
Yep.
Up a little bit. Less rushes.
Yep.
I'm going to say 590 rushing yards.
Okay.
And I'm going to say 12 touchdowns on the ground. So he would be at 37 touchdowns Just 7 interceptions total. Still pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. That's an outstanding season.
Yeah.
A lot of quarterbacks will kill for it.
No doubt.
In this league.
Mhm.
And I think if those numbers, what we're projecting, are anything close to what he achieves, this team's going to be right back there in the thick of the playoff scenario and pushing to make this Super Bowl again. I mean, this is an offense that did not have to rebuild. They only have to retool in 2 areas, running back and right guard.
Right.
They have everything else you need. And hopefully they get better production out of a 3rd and 4th receiver if needed.
Mhm.
But everything else they have right now, they won 14 out of 17 regular season games and went 2-1 in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
That's a heck of a season.
It is.
Okay.
It is. It's incredible, actually.
I'll take that. I mean, obviously you want to win the Super Bowl, but I'll take those numbers.
Yeah,
every time. Yeah.
I agree with you. If they looked exactly the same, you'd be thrilled. I mean, that's for sure. All right, let's go to we're going to skip running back because they don't have Miles Sanders and nothing to sort of base it off of. So we'll just do the receivers and the tight ends. Okay. So let's do AJ Brown next. AJ Brown last year had 88 catches, 1,496 yards, 17 yards per catch, and 11 touchdowns. Okay. Big time year for AJ. What do you think is realistic for him this season? Now, 2nd year in this offense working with Jalen.
I think those numbers will be very similar again this year. He just missed 1,500 yards by 4 yards. I think he'll have similar numbers. I mean, think about it. A lot of the receivers that get 1,500 yards receiving have 110, 115, 120 catches. You look at, the Devontae Adams, he had 100 catches to get over 1,000 yards. But AJ had 88 catches, averaged 17 yards a catch, and still had 11 touchdowns. Teams tried to stop him. They couldn't stop him. They tried to stop him on those slant routes, couldn't stop him. He's a big body, physical dude. You're not just going to bring him down with one-arm tackling. You're not going to push him off his routes. Most DBs have so much respect for him that they give him that cushion. So I think that slant route's going to be there time and time again this year. He might go over 90 catches, but I'm going to say he's going to be right there at 88, 90 catches, 1,500 yards, 11 or 12 touchdowns, average 16 to 18 yards per catch.
Yeah, I don't think the numbers vary much.
No.
And I will say this, he might even be down slightly from the 88, which is not a bad thing. You're going to have Dallas Goedert. I'm assuming if you have Dallas Goedert the whole season, he's going to get some of those catches. Devontae Smith is just going to get better, in my opinion, which will, and he had 95 catches last year, but I think he could get over the 100 catch mark because he's such a precise route runner.
Yeah.
All those things may cut in a little bit to AJ Brown's productivity in terms of catches, but I still think he'll be as effective. So, all right, I'm going to go 80 catches, 1,400 yards, and I actually think he'll get one more touchdown, 12 touchdowns, 15 yards per catch.
Okay. All
Sign
right.
me up. All right. If that's what it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. Let's go Devontae. As I mentioned, 95 catches last year, 1,196 yards, almost got to the 1,200 yard mark, 12.6 yards per catch, 7 touchdowns.
I think his catch numbers, his yards may go down a little bit, and I'll explain why in a few minutes when we get to the next guy. And I think he'll get like 9 TD catches.
Okay.
That's what I think. There'll be so much focus on trying to stop AJ. He's going to get Devontae's going to get the one-on-one coverage that he wants. And I think he's going to be even more explosive in terms of stretching the field this year. I think his catch total will be right around 85. His yard total right around 1,100. He'll still average about 12 and a half, 13 yards a catch, and he'll have 9 touchdown catches.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I think the sky's the limit there for him.
Yes.
I really like too in the Super Bowl.
What?
He made some tough catches where he got drilled.
Yeah, that one catch on the sideline. Oh.
And he just kept rolling, man. He's tough. Like, he's wiry. I know he's not jacked. I get it. He's a skinny guy by nature, but he's a tough dude. He for sure is a tough dude.
No question.
Give him a lot of props. I would look at Devontae in this sense. I think he gets over 100 catches.
Over 100.
He's going to he's going to get at least 5 more catches this year. I think he's over 1,200 yards. I think the touchdowns go up slightly to about 9. And I think his yards per catch are going to be up a little bit, not much, right around 13 or 14. But I think he'll have a good year for sure.
Okay.
All right. Lastly, Dallas Goedert. Now, yeah, everything has to in the prism here that he only played in 12 games as opposed to 17. He missed those 5 games. So he had 55 catches, 702 yards, more than 12.8 yards per carry. Still good. Only found the end zone 3 times. Excuse me, 3 times. So what are you thinking for Dallas this upcoming season?
Well, here's the reason why I said Devontae's numbers will suffer a little bit. Because Dallas missed those 5 games. Dallas is the safety valve. Okay, first of all, AJ is Jalen's go-to guy. They've been boys from way back in the day, and obviously the numbers show that. So I think he's going to be his guy again. Dallas's numbers are going to go up because he's going to catch more than 55. I think he's going to be in the 70 catch range. You know, he missed 5 games. That's a big loss.
It is
in terms of the tight end passing game.
Yeah.
I think his yards will be closer to 900. And I think he will have at least 6 or 7 touchdown catches. He'll still average about 12, 13 yards a catch. But as much as the tight end position, the Eagles did a great job of mixing and matching with Calcaterra and Stoll. They missed that safety valve tight end of Dallas Goedert being there. Yeah. If he can stay healthy the entire season. And again, my numbers are my projection numbers are based on him being there for a full 17-game season. Mm-hmm. So that's why I said I think he'll have over 70 catches, 900 plus yards, and about 6 or 7 touchdowns.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I think again, if you're assuming he's healthy, which he's had a tough time staying on the field for the entire 16 or 17.
Yep.
I think what's fair for him is I don't think he gets over 1,000. You're not going to have 3,000 yard receivers, but
no.
I think he gets in the 800s. I think his touchdowns will increase a little bit, maybe 5 or 6. Somewhere around there, which is all good. While we're at it, while we're on the tight end, and we'll get to the defense a little bit later. Who do you see being the backup tight end? Is it Stoll? Is it Arnold? Is it Calcaterra? Is it Tyree Jackson?
I think more so than it's Arnold.
Okay.
I think Arnold's going to be that guy. Arnold's a decent blocker, good hands. I just think he's going to be elevated to that role. It's not to say that there's not a role for Calcaterra or Stoll. I just think that they brought Dan Arnold in here for a reason because of his experience. And I think he's going to be the guy who's going to move up and be that number 2 guy.
Okay. I think it's up in the air. If Calcaterra can develop his blocking skills a little bit more, and I know that's never going to be his strength, but because he's such a threat down the field, he is a guy that I would think that you have to figure out a way to get him on the field at times. But and I know he's got a connection with Jalen, right? I mean, then they crossed paths at Oklahoma, I believe.
Yes.
Those 2 did. So, we'll see. We'll see if that ends up being the case there with those 2. But yeah, I mean, you kind of know what you're getting with Stoll, in terms of his blocking ability and those kind of things. But you feel like he's ultimately replaceable if somebody can give you something in the blocking game,
Well, you look at Arnold. He has 7 years in the league. He's only played a full season one time, and that was last year in Jacksonville.
Right.
He's never had more than 45 catches in a season. His best year is 438 yards. That was back in 2020 when he was in Arizona.
Yeah.
But, I remember watching him play thinking, man, this dude is an underrated tight end.
Right.
In terms of his blocking ability. And he's for his career, 7-year career, he's averaged 13 yards a catch. So he has ability to separate, and he's played in some really good passing offenses in New Orleans, in Arizona, and in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So that's why I think that he will be that number 2 guy. Eagles got him at a bargain basement price. And I think he will elevate to that number 2. I mean, he's a big dude. He's not a little dude, 6'6", 220.
No, he's big.
He's big boy, you know.
Yep.
And he went to UW Platteville, Wisconsin.
I knew you'd work it
in. Yeah, baby.
You're welcome.
Yeah, baby.
All right, so we'll come back. We'll hit some more Eagles in a bit, but when we come back, Mike Sealski is going to join us from the Philadelphia Inquirer. Wrote a really interesting piece about the Sixers coaching candidates and some of the flaws of some of them. We'll run Dawn Staley. We'll throw Jay Wright out there. We'll hit all that kind of stuff when we come back with Mike. He's Derek Gunn. I'm Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Time right now for me to tell you about Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group, because finding the right person to trust with your finances is critical. It is critical. You work way too hard not to invest with the right person. And Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group, they are the right person and people. Whether it's retirement planning, 401k review, insurance review, you might have a small business. You try to get your employee benefits off the ground. That's another resource that Jim can assist you with. I know personally, I've entrusted my IRA, my 401k rollovers with Jim, and I couldn't be any happier. You will be too. Give him a call. 610-996-4751. 610-996-4751. You could also email him, Murray, Murray, .jim@principal.com. That's Murray.jim@principal.com.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Google TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
And the big story on Action News?
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust,
Go Birds!
and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake a mom. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again?
You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome back, everybody. Happy Friday, one and all. Hope you're doing well out there. Hope you have a great, relaxing weekend planned. I'm Rob Ellis. He's Derek Gunn. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Joining us right now, the preeminent columnist in the Delaware Valley. I would even say America, global, if you will, Derek Gunn. It doesn't matter. There's no boundaries on Mike Sealski, and you can also listen.
We're not worthy. We're not
each and every just like he wrote it. Each and every Saturday with Glenn Macnow at 10 a.m. on 94 WIP. What's up, Michael?
Rob, I got to hire you to be my agent, man. That was the greatest introduction in the history of introductions.
There's a percentage connected to that introduction, Mike. I forgot to tell you.
14 and a half.
That's
14.5%.
I hear you. Love the piece on the coaching search and the flaws and all that good stuff, as usual. But I want to start with this before I dive into like Nick Nurse and that kind of stuff for the Sixers. Assign a percentage or just give me your gut. We aren't hearing anything necessarily. There hasn't been a denial, which I don't think means anything ultimately. But from Jay Wright or Don Staley, is there any chance that could potentially happen here and we're all being sort of hoodwinked with all the usual suspect guys, the retreads, if you will?
I would be really, really, really surprised. I just would. I mean, you can't rule out anything completely, Rob, but I would be really, really surprised. I think Jay loves what he's doing. I think he loves it more than he thought he would. I talked to him about this actually during the NCAA tournament when he was an in-studio analyst for Turner Sports and CBS during March Madness. And he's really good at it. He's making a ton of money. He's got endorsements all over the place. He is beloved in the Philadelphia region, and he would be kind of putting all of that at risk to come in and coach the Sixers for what? Unless he really misses it. And I don't mean that to say
I love the disdain and the for what. I mean, that was like
well, and I don't mean it necessarily just for the Sixers. I mean it in the NBA as a whole. Like to me, he doesn't have anything else to prove. Nobody thinks less of Mike Krzyzewski or of Dawn Staley for not having coached in the NBA. So why does that standard apply to Jay Wright? I don't think it does. And I think he's smart enough to understand, and I made this point in the column you just referenced, that when he was at Villanova, if they got bounced in the second or first round of the tournament, it was a discussion topic in Philadelphia for 24 hours at most. And then everybody moved on to, oh, are the Eagles going to draft a running back? Or, who's the Phillies' fifth starter going to be? And that was that. The first time, if he takes the job with the Sixers, the first time they have a 3-game losing streak, people are going to be saying, this guy was never that good a coach. Why would you put up with that if you were him? Just relax on Long Beach Island and enjoy yourself.
I have this argument with my son all the time. We debate. It's not really an argument, but he says to me, wouldn't you want the ultimate challenge, right? He says, if you're Jay Wright, you've climbed the mountaintop in college. You want to go to the NBA and blah, blah, blah. And I said, number one, he has coached Team USA. He knows what these guys are like. He knows you're hired to be fired. He knows they have the ultimate say because of what they're making. It's a no-win in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Whereas especially before the transfer portal and NIL, he had a much bigger hand in things. I just think because he's also seen it up close and personal, and everything you laid out with how much he's enjoying life without the aggravation and the pressure, I don't see it. Now, you can always say, never say never. If the Sixers said, here's a blank check, Jay, of course. Who am I to say he shouldn't do it? I just don't see it. I'm with you.
Here's the thing, Rob, and it's possible this is a Philadelphia way to look at it. And this is going to sound really egotistical on my part, but I don't mean it this way. So I worked in New York for 3 years, at the Wall Street Journal, and I was a grunt up in New York. I was covering the Jets. I was covering the Mets. You could, if you wanted to, kind of draw an analogy with Jay coaching on the Olympic team. He was a grunt coach on the Olympic team. But as you said, Rob, he got a taste of what it was like to deal with pros and to see what that life is like. Maybe that's all it takes for him. For me, it was all it took. I got 3 years. I love my time in New York. And you know what? I'm back in Philly where I'm comfortable, where I always wanted to be. And it's been great, and I don't ever want to leave. And maybe Jay looks at it the same way. Like, you know what? I was great in Villanova, and I got a taste of dealing with NBA guys in the Olympics, and I can say I dealt with it, and that's that. And again, please don't take that as anything other than, my own personal way of looking at it from his standpoint. I'm not saying I'm Jay Wright or anything like that.
See, Mike, when I look at it, the family element comes into play. The man has spent his entire career roaming the country, trying to be the best coach he can possibly be. And as we all know, when you're a coach, your family suffers to a certain degree. You suffer because you miss out on a lot of the little family elements that go on. Certain growth spurts in your kids, certain things that they do, certain functions, whether it's a kid's game, a play, a musical, or something like that. And now I believe he has grandchildren. He wants to be there. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he has grandchildren.
I think you're right.
I think he wants to be there. He's made his money. He's done something that multitudes of coaches at the collegiate level will never have the opportunity to do. He's won not one, but 2 national championships. He's now sitting in the confines of an air-controlled studio making a 7-figure income, just giving his opinion. He doesn't have to be at practices every day. He doesn't have to be on road trips anymore. He doesn't have to babysit a bunch of 18 to 22-year-olds anymore. You're still making money. You still have your side endorsements, and you're in more control of your life now. And he's over 60 years of age, still a young man. Why would you want anything else at this stage? I mean, some guys are just habitual coaches. You look at a Bill Belichick, they're going to take Bill Belichick out of Foxborough in the coffin. He's not going to give up coaching. Pete Carroll the same way.
Yep.
Gunnar, you are so right. And think about it. Belichick occurred to me while you were talking.
Yeah.
And the other guy who occurred to me was Rick Pitino. Okay.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
And think about those two guys. Jay has a terrific family. Patty, his wife, was with him basically every step of the way when he was coaching Villanova. And it wouldn't surprise me if he wanted to devote more time in his life to that aspect of his life. And when you think about guys who are in their 60s and 70s who are still bouncing from job to job, look at their home lives, look at their personal lives. Neither Bill Belichick nor Rick Pitino are someone I would want to emulate as a husband or father or as someone interacting interpersonally with people.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't.
Stay out of those restaurants, Mike.
Darn right. You know, and you guys see it too. We're all at that stage of our lives where, you know, there are things other than devoting every single waking moment to your job.
Yep.
Yes.
You know, other things matter more.
Yep.
And he has the summers off now.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to hit the recruiting trail.
Yeah, go down the shore, do whatever you want.
Yes.
You know, enjoy the fruits of your labor, man.
Why would you want that headache?
I don't know.
I wouldn't.
Okay. And just on Dawn, I don't, you know, I just, you throw it out there. I don't.
Yeah, I don't think the timing is right. My colleague Mike Jensen wrote a column a week or two ago, you know, making the case that the Sixers would be smart to hire Dawn Staley.
Right.
And look, I think she could do the job. I think Mike made a very compelling case. Marcus Hayes made a similar case last year, the year before. I just think that this is the wrong kind of situation for her. There's always going to be a novelty to the first female head coach in the NBA.
Yeah.
And that's how people are going to look at that hire, no matter who it is, no matter where it is. And the Sixers are not in a stage right now where the novelty helps them at all. If anything, it's a distraction.
Right.
If anything, it's a divergent from what their goal should be, which is to hire a head coach who can help them win a championship. I think Dawn Staley could do that. I think the novelty of it would be something they don't want to deal with and shouldn't want to deal with.
Makes sense.
You know what? Not only that, Mike, but I think Dawn knows this city well. She knows the passion of this fan base. If it goes south, she knows how critical this fan base can be. If it was an opportunity, let's say a Charlotte, a New Orleans, a lesser media contingent, a less volatile market, maybe she would consider it more. But right now, she's in a position where she walks on water in South Carolina. She has probably more clout than the governor in the state of South Carolina. Why would you want to leave that environment? She writes her own ticket in South Carolina. She has more pull than the athletic director and probably the president of the university. Why would you want to leave that environment? You have the Holy Grail at your disposal right now.
You know, Gunnar, I used that term. Maybe this is a Philadelphia thing earlier, and I've always thought that with respect to Dawn Staley.
Yes,
it puzzled the hell out of me that people were like, why wouldn't she want to take the Temple men's job? Well, for one thing, she's getting paid much more as the South Carolina women's coach than she would have been as the Temple men's coach. Yeah, it's a better job. But we all in Philadelphia in this region think that, like, well, why wouldn't you want to come back to Philadelphia no matter what? Like, I wanted to. You guys love it here, but not everybody does. And, you know, maybe Jay Wright and Dawn Staley are able to see things a little more clearly than most fans around here.
Yep. And this is not in any way, shape, or form a knock on Philadelphia. Or Temple, for that matter. Do you honestly think Dawn Staley would win a national championship coaching at Temple?
Right.
I don't.
It would be extremely tough.
It would be tough.
I think as the years go on, you appreciate more what John Chaney did. At least I would think that people do that. It is a tough spot.
Yes.
They're in a bad conference. Look, I'm a Temple guy. I could go on and bore you guys forever with this. It is a very difficult position.
Yes.
The new coach Fisher is in, but
you go to South Carolina. It's warmer weather for a lot of potential recruits.
Yep.
The ambiance there, is a lot more appealing, and understandably so in a lot of ways. And there's a great talent pool of players in that South region that she basically now gets to pick and choose from the creme de la creme because of her pedigree and what she's built at that program already.
She can be the Krzyzewski, the Gino Auriemma, the Pat Summitt of the 21st century if she wants to be.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Mike. So let's look at some of the others here. You know, the Nurse, the Budenholzer, the Vogel, etc. Mike D'Antoni. I personally, to me, it's Nick Nurse by a long stretch. But if you're handicapping this thing in terms of what you would like to see them do, what do you think for the others?
I wouldn't have an issue with Nurse at all. I think he's a pretty smart guy. Monty Williams is the one who is curious to me. And I wonder if he might be the best fit for a couple of reasons. First of all, look at the offense he ran in Phoenix. It was beautiful basketball. It was not stand around, watch James Harden dribble at the top of the key, high pick and roll with Joel Embiid. It was move the ball, get open shots. Now, some of that is a function of the team he had in Phoenix,
right,
with Chris Paul as a point guard and Devin Booker on the outside and Mikal Bridges for a time and all of that. But the principles could certainly still apply no matter what his personnel is. Secondly, I think from a personality and character standpoint, you couldn't do better than Monty Williams. He's familiar with Philadelphia, having been an assistant under Brett Brown for a year. He knows Joel Embiid. And if we all agree that one of the chances you have to take in firing Doc Rivers and bringing in a new coach is doing something to try to push Embiid and Harden, if he's still here, to that next level, which they clearly showed against the Celtics they weren't able to get to. I'm skeptical they'll ever get there, but if the calculation is maybe a new coach will inspire them, it seems to me Monty Williams might be the best bet for that. Now, Nick Nurse could probably do that too. Maybe one of the other candidates could as well, whether you're talking about Frank Vogel or Mike Budenholzer. But I like Monty Williams. And look, if they hire Monty or Nick Nurse, I think they would do great. I really do.
Do you think that this team in any way, shape, or form, when you take into consideration they're handcuffed by cap restraints, they need to move a couple of pieces, i.e. Tobias Harris in general, but they're not going to get back the quality that you want for Tobias Harris, that this team in any way, shape, or form can get better this year? Because Rob and I have sat here this week and we have said, goodbye, James Harden. Thank you for your contributions. It's time to go. But if you get rid of James Harden, whatever you put in this place is not going to be as good as James Harden, even though James Harden frustrates the heck out of you. I don't see how this team can get better this year, Mike, until they get out from this dark cloud of this cap restraint until next year.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth in what you're saying there, Gunnar, and it creates an interesting question. Do you try to run it back knowing everything that you just laid out, or do you take what Spike Eskin, formerly at WIP and now at WFAN, called a gap year? Do you say to yourself, you know what? If we sign James Harden, even for 2 years, it immediately becomes the worst contract in the NBA.
Yep.
You know, for 2 years, for 3 years, for 4 years, we're counting down to the end of that deal as soon as he signs it. So let him walk. Assume you're going to be worse this year. See what happens with Tobias Harris. If you can trade him, trade him. If you can't, well, let him walk. You become a free agent. He's off your books. You're going to have to sign Maxey, I would think. And then you can take a run at it when Embiid is 31. Now, look, are you maximizing Joel's prime in that regard? No, you're probably not. But are you also adding the kind of piece or pieces that Embiid clearly, we see now, needs around him to be able to get to the conference finals and beyond? We've seen this now for 6 or 7 years, that if Joel is the alpha dog, it's probably going to end in the second round, as great as a player as he is, because once you get into the playoffs, the small differences between superstars become multiplied. The Kobes, the Duncans, the LeBrons, the Stephs, even the Giannis's in a certain year will separate themselves from that slightly lower tier. And right now, Joel is in that slightly lower tier because he just doesn't seem to have that kill or die mentality that a pro athlete needs to have in these biggest moments. He hasn't shown that he has it. And I wish he would, as a basketball fan, as someone who was curious to see whether the Sixers would get past the second round, but he just didn't. And we have to face facts with that. So maybe taking a step back this year and kind of regrouping rather than reloading is the best way to go.
I think, Mike, the step back thing makes sense. And I think it's probably the best way to go. My sense is organizationally, because Morey is not a step back kind of guy. He's an add or honor, if you will. And there were so many years of the process that I don't know that they would want to even ask a fan base to go that route, even if they're implying it without saying it. And he's so in love with Harden that I think it clouds his judgment too. I think it would make sense, but I don't see them doing it, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I'm inclined to agree with you, Rob, which is a shame. I think one of the smartest things, look, I got along real well with Sam Hinkie when he was here. And at the time I was, let's do the process, clear the decks. It might not work, but it might pay off big. Now, obviously it didn't pay off big. Okay. They got Embiid and they missed on a whole bunch of picks, and there were burner accounts and Markelle Fultz and Ben Simmons and all that stuff. I get it. Okay. But one of the smartest things that Hinkie ever said, he and I were having lunch one day, and I asked him about the process. It was like, why are you doing this? What if it doesn't work? Blah, blah, blah. And he said, look, if you are going to war and your enemy has bazookas and you have slingshots, you're going to lose no matter how badly you want to fight. You have to get bazookas yourself, no matter how long it takes before you can enter that battle. And I think the Sixers are in the same kind of boat right now. His argument then was, we've got to get better players. And the best way to get those players is to draft them. And the easiest way to draft them is to be bad, to get high draft picks. Well, where are the Sixers now? They've got Embiid and they've got Maxey, but are they really going to get to where they want to get to if they bring Harden back and run this thing back again?
No.
I don't think they are. Nope. I don't think they are. Now, maybe we're all wrong about that, but I just don't see it. So no matter how much they might want to placate the fans by running it back, first of all, I think that's a dubious proposition. I'm not sure most fans want them to run it back.
Yep.
No.
I would endorse doing the smart thing, which would seem to me to be take a step back and clear as much of the decks as you can and come at this thing in 2024.
All right, then I ask this question then. At what stage does the Embiid tenure end in Philadelphia when you finally just say, you look at what Utah did. They ran it as far as they could. They couldn't get past to a certain point. And then Utah just gutted that team and started all over. At what point do the Sixers have to look at this and say, we went as far as we could with Joel. Now it's time to go in a different direction. The big man in today's game is not as we grew up knowing it anymore. You got 7-footers now that play outside on the perimeter more so than camping down underneath the basket, waiting for you to feed them down in low. How many times do we see guys driving the paint for a layup, a potential two-pointer? And I saw it last night in the Boston game, time and time again on both teams. Guys got easy buckets. They kick it out to the wings. So the big man, the dominant big man in the middle, even though Joel is the best big man as we know it traditionally, it doesn't exist in today's NBA game anymore. So how soon does this tenure with Embiid end?
All right, you got a lot going on there, Gunner, so I'm going to try to hit everything. So first of all,
I'm timing you, by the way. Go ahead, go.
So first of all, I don't think they're trading Embiid unless he wants to be traded. And I wouldn't trade Embiid unless he wants to be traded. I do think there is value in having a superstar player spend his entire career with a particular franchise if he wants to. So unless he pounds on Daryl Morey and Josh Harris's office doors and says, get me out of here, I'm not trading Joel Embiid. Number two, I think your point about the big men in today's NBA has been true for a long time, but I wonder if it's shifting. To me, the biggest weakness in Joel Embiid's game, and this was shown in that Celtics series, was that the Sixers could never just post him up and have him back down whoever was guarding him and have him shoot a hook shot or a turnaround or just bully ball the guy into an easy basket. Right. Watch Nikola Jokic. For all the versatility he has, he can do that.
Yeah.
Look at the Celtics Heat series. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are elite wing players who haven't been great for a good bit of this series.
Right.
The Heat have Jimmy Butler, but it's not like they have a whole bunch of great wing players either.
No.
So, I mean, maybe that's just an anomaly. And maybe you're right that the trend is still there and you need those wing players. And I think you probably do, but there can be exceptions to that. But to me, I think the biggest weakness in Embiid's game is the fact that he's almost too modern too much of the time. Like, he can do all these amazing things where he catches the ball in the post and turns and faces and takes a guy off the dribble. That's great. And then he gets double teamed and hesitates to pick up where the double team is coming from and turns the ball over, or dribbles the ball too much and turns the ball over. Sometimes it's good to be able to just dump the ball down low to a 7-footer, have him shoot a hook or a turnaround over a smaller player and get an easy 2 and move on from there.
Yeah, I think part of the problem, Mike, with him on the block is he's too hurt or too tired during stretches of games to want to go down there and bang. And what you see is, if it's not the pick and roll at the nail when Joe Mazzulla makes the adjustment of going big, there's no counter punch. Some of that falls on fell on Doc Rivers, but some of that falls on them. He has no left hand, Embiid. As great as he is, he has no left hand. He doesn't have a hook. He doesn't have a lot of moves around the bucket. You're right. Maybe some of that is just coming to the game at 15, 16 years old, whatever.
So, all right. So you hit on this, Rob, which is, I was going to, when you finish speaking, I was going to ask if I could give you my Joel Embiid theory.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys are of the same generation that I am, and you will get this reference. Okay. So to me, as I think Joel Embiid is an incredible basketball player and an incredible story, but to me, he has a little bit of Yakov Smirnoff in him. Remember Yakov Smirnoff, the Russian comedian in the mid-1980s?
Absolutely.
His whole bit was, I'm in America, and I can't believe I'm in America because the Soviet Union was so terrible.
Yeah.
And now here I am in America, and it's the most wonderful thing ever. I think there's a little bit of that in Joel Embiid. I think there is an element of, I've already won in life. I made it out of Cameroon, where I wouldn't have had much of a future, or I certainly wouldn't have had the future that I am having now as an NBA star, a multimillionaire, an MVP. And I think there's a little bit, to get back to what we were talking about earlier, of an edge that's lost there. That LeBron has from the way he grew up, that Kobe had from the way he grew up, that Larry Bird had from the way he grew up. And as I said earlier, those sorts of small differences loom large when the games matter most.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fascinating theory there, man. It really is. It's interesting. And I think you had a perfect storm of guys who don't thrive in adverse situations. Embiid, Harden, and Doc Rivers.
Yeah.
Doc Rivers' track record's terrible in those spots. So is James Harden. Now Embiid's starting to build a pretty, unfortunately, pretty good resume of those situations too. And instead of just digging out of it, they're all kind of willing to be like, see ya. That's bad. That's a bad look.
Yeah, it is. I mean, look, the NBA TV's got this documentary coming on about the 2001 Sixers. I think it's called Everything But the Chip. And it's going to track their season and the conflict between Larry Brown and Allen Iverson and the playoff run and the step over of Tyronn Lue and all that stuff. That team wasn't nearly as talented as this Sixers team that just lost. But man, that team, they came after you and after you and after you, and you could never doubt that every single night they gave you everything they had. And there's a difference there. There just is.
Yeah. Well said. Well said.
And before I let you get out of here, Mike, I got to ask you about your Phillies, man. I got to bring up your Phillies. And I've jokingly said this to Rob for the last week or so. I think, we people are so frustrated with the Phillies right now. I think it's the curse of the month of May. You go back to last May, they struggled throughout May. Then they made the managerial change. Everybody was so jacked up about all the new pieces they brought in, Trey Turner and the pitching depth. And now we sit here with a team 4 games under 500. Are you in a cause for concern mode? Are you in a panic mode when you look at how inconsistent this Phillies team has been so far?
Gunnar, they were worse at this time last year than they are this year.
Yep.
It was interesting to me to hear you say the curse of May. I thought you were going to say the curse of October, because my feeling is that run that they went on in October and in the early part of November to the World Series was like one of those flashy things in Men in Black that erases your memory. It erased everybody's memory of how frustrated they all were with the Phillies for the entire regular season last year until they clinched that playoff spot. Remember, until Aaron Nola threw that great game in Houston and they clinched the wild card, they had just lost a couple of games in Chicago to the Cubs, who were the dregs of the National League. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, what's going on with this team, blah, blah, blah. And then they clinch a playoff spot, and then they go on a run. They were inconsistent last year, too. And maybe they're a team that's just built for a short series and is going to vacillate like this over the course of 162 games. Look, do I think they're assured of making the playoffs? No. Do I think it is way too early to write them off? Yes. Trey Turner is not this bad. He's just not. They're going to get Ranger Suarez healthy, I would think. They're going to have to make a decision about, do they add somebody to the back end of the rotation? And you have a general manager in Dave Dombrowski who has a pretty good track record in knowing whether it's worth making a move like that. And if he does, he'll know who to add. I'm not saying they're assured of anything. I'm just saying, as you said, Gunnar, it's the end of May. Calm down.
All right, Mike. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Yourself, Glenn Mack. I know you guys have Danny Briere tomorrow on the show. That should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to hearing. We've heard a lot of Keith Jones, but hearing Danny would be is going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah, we're looking forward to the show. We're going to have Danny at 10:25. We're going to have Jeff McClain, my colleague at the Inquirer, at 11 o'clock. He's been doing an incredible podcast called Uncovering the Birds, and his latest episode is about Jalen Hurts. Everybody should listen to it. And then we're going to have Tyler Kepner, the national baseball writer for the New York Times, and a Philly native, on at noon. He's going to also calm your fears about the Phillies as well.
Okay. All right, Mike.
Hey, before we let you go, I got to ask both of you this one question. I've been waiting for the perfect time to ask you. I just saw this on Twitter, WIP poll, and I'm so curious into your responses for this. WIP just put a poll out a few moments ago, and it says, we all know Aaron Nola is struggling mightily. Would you give Aaron Nola or James Harden $200 million contract?
Is there a no option?
If I have to pick
one or the other.
Yeah.
I'm picking Aaron Nola because it's more likely that he's going to perform and pitch throughout the length of the contract.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, say what you want about Nola. He takes the ball every 5 days. I mean, he is always there. And yeah, I mean, if you're asking me who I'm going to get more out of who's going to look better in 3 years, I'll take Aaron Nola all day, even though he's not pitched well, particularly this year.
I would give, this is going to sound crazy, guys. I would give Tobias Harris a $200 million contract before James Harden. I really would. Not that I'm in a hurry to give either of those guys $200 million, but Tobias is a solid player, no drama, great teammate, can win you a game every now and then. There's not this like there is with Harden, and there's no wine releases, and there's no flying to Vegas, and there's none of that stuff.
Yeah, agreed. Mike, good stuff, man. Thanks for hanging out. We appreciate it.
Have a great holiday, okay?
You too, man. Thank you.
Thank you. That's Mike Sealski, columnist for the Philadelphia Inquirer. Let's come back. We get some big-time football news, Derek.
Oh, yeah.
Big-time football news, which we will do when we come back, see if there's any relation or ties to the Philadelphia Eagles, but we will discuss it as soon as we return. Don't go anywhere. He's Derek Gunn. I am Rob Ellis. We're Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. All right, let me tell you right now about Pro Action Restoration. Yeah, Pro Action Restoration. They're the place that you turn to if you have a home, you have a business, you have a property, and you go through the pain, the inconvenience of water, fire, smoke, mold damage. Pro Action Restoration is on call 24 hours, 7 days a week to assist you. I can tell you that from personal experience because I reached out on a Saturday to them, and they got right out to my parents' house. They cleaned up the problem. The crew was incredible, and the price was right. The other great thing is Pro Action Restoration. They're licensed, bonded, fully insured, and they've been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. They also work in conjunction with your insurance company. So water, fire, smoke damage, mold remediation, you name it, they can handle it. Give them a call, 610-623-3760, 610-623-3760, or online at proactionrestoration.com. That's proactionrestoration.com.
Weather forecasting is a team game.
We rely on each other every day, updating the models and passing along new critical information.
We have a team of 5 experienced meteorologists and a specialized weather producer, Paul. Say hi, Paul.
Sometimes what I see in the model, Cecily could see something different.
That's when we come together as a team to make our most accurate prediction.
And all of this backed by more than 100 AccuWeather scientists. It's a team game.
And we have the best team in town.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messa & Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messa & Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Celebrating the life of your loved one is what we do at Life Celebrations by Givnish. When the matriarch of the Dalloway family died suddenly at 82 years old, Life Celebrations by Givnish stepped in.
They will make this the easiest thing that I know it's not easy, but they will make this as easy as possible.
Life Celebrations by Givnish, customizing services as unique as the individual.
I just know that my dad, who is in charge of everything, was not in charge of anything at that point when my mom passed. And again, just another shout out to this place for making it easy.
Turning tragedy into a celebration of life, no matter how hard, is what we do at Life Celebrations by Givnish. Life Celebrations by Givnish, customizing services as unique as the individual.
EAGLES, Eagles.
We're back. Yes, we are. He's Derek Gunn. I'm Rob Ellis. We're hanging out with you. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Let's hit that like button, friends. We do appreciate it. All right, so Gunner, when we were in the midst of the interview with Mike, big news from the NFL. The Arizona Cardinals have released DeAndre Hopkins. Technically, they could still trade him by 4 p.m. Eastern. So what is it? Two and a half hours. You could still technically trade him. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case. And he recently did an interview. Was I telling you this? Were we on the show or were we in the pre-show? I'm trying to remember. Where he mentioned, some places and some quarterbacks that he'd like to play with. He mentioned Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Justin Herbert for what it's worth.
Right.
So he brought all those guys up. He actually said at one point he wants to go to an organization that has some stability in the front office. He didn't have that in Houston or Arizona, and a quarterback who brings teammates together. So read between those lines too.
You think he's talking about Kyler Murray?
Gee, I don't know what he could possibly mean by that. No, I don't. But read into it how you want to read into it. Anyway, and I know you hear that name, and if you're an Eagles fan, you get the juices flowing. But especially after this Hurts deal, and considering you have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, it ain't happening, man. He's going to get paid somewhere.
See, when I saw the story hit the Twitter feed a while ago when we were talking to Mike, I immediately started texting a few people. And one of them got back to me. I said, hey, D-Hop released. Do you guys have any interest? Will you pursue him? And I got back, no, not at this time.
Okay.
And I said, why? And they said, I'll talk to you later. So first of all, now this is my perspective. For as phenomenal of a talent as DeAndre Hopkins is, he does come with a little theatrics off the, he likes to talk. And from a media perspective, we love that because he gives us stuff to talk about on our various shows. if there's one thing the Eagles take pride in is that they have a group of players that don't give the media a whole lot to talk about in a negative light. I don't know if DeAndre would fit the culture of this locker room, to be honest. I think some people would be a little bit nervous about having him in this locker room.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. DeAndre Hopkins has some of the best hands in all of the National Football League pass catchers. You know, I've seen so many stories about he has one of the strongest grips, and he makes these catches that other receivers don't make because of his hand grip.
Yeah.
He is fearless, acrobatic. His numbers throughout his career speak for themselves, but there's just that sidecar baggage that I
he had the
shy away from.
pension. He's had other, there's some other stuff too. He's been injured a little bit too.
Yes, and I don't think he would come here and be comfortable just being a number 3 receiver.
And what happens is, particularly at this position, guys want touches.
Yes.
If you're throwing, and again, who wouldn't want DeAndre Hopkins, AJ Brown, and Devontae? I mean, you're drooling.
Absolutely.
But if that all of a sudden cuts everybody's productivity in half that are already here, you might start having some issues there, because the receivers are divas, man. Divas want the ball in a big way. So, I honestly, I don't think they can afford it. I was scrolling Twitter during the break, and Pat Leonard, who we've had on the show, who does a really good job covering the Giants for the New York Daily News, said that he's talking to his sources, and he said, "Hey, what are you thinking about Hopkins?" And the first source that he talked to said, "Watch out for the Bills." You throw him with Stephon Diggs.
I can see that happening.
Woo!
Yeah, I can see that. But the last couple of years, DeAndre's played 10 and 9 games, and I know there was a suspension involved there. Dude is electric, no question about it. Even at this stage of his career, the dude is flat out electric. I just don't think the Eagles want to go down that road at this time. I do think and I also think that there are teams out there that are salivating about getting a DeAndre Hopkins in their offensive arsenal, where it would drive the numbers up further than what the Eagles want to pay another receiver at this point. Mm-hmm. I think their capital that they have available is going to be closely monitored by the linebacking situation, maybe the safety situation, and maybe even another offensive lineman somewhere.
Yeah.
But I don't think wide receivers where they're going to put that kind of capital when you paid AJ Brown $100 million. Devontae is playing on a decent rookie contract with Page.
First round pick. Yeah, right.
I don't think they're going to put that kind of capital into another receiver coming here.
If you look at the way this works, it's not a post June 1 cut. So the Cardinals clear $7.3 million in cap space for this season, Derek. They'll have to eat $22.6 million in dead money right now. And he's off the books for 2024. That's the way it works. They held out as long as they could, but they couldn't make a trade. They couldn't make too much money.
Yeah, and you take into consideration Arizona with a new coach, new direction. You want as many pieces to the equation, as many firepower pieces to the equation as you can possibly have. So for Arizona today to release him and finally say, you know what, we're tired of this. We're tired of the antics. We're tired of him talking. We're tired of this. And some teams out there will say, well, man, if Arizona, as good as he is, gives up on him, do we want to bring that in here? Every team says they're trying to build a certain culture or has a certain desire of a certain culture in their locker room. Do you want to bring a DeAndre in there, wondering at what point, if he's not getting what he wants, could he shred the locker room? Could he divide the masses, so to speak? We saw it happen with T.O. and the Eagles. Look how divisive he became, to the point where it was the Hatfields and McCoy. It was the North versus the South. There were people that were either on T.O.'s side or weren't on T.O.'s side. And as Donovan McNabb found out, there were people on T.O.'s side that he thought were friends of his, and it kind of strained relationships a little bit when the dust settled with the T.O. situation.
Yeah, like let me put it to you this way. If they hadn't made the trade last year to get AJ Brown,
right,
I feel like they could absorb, some of his quirkiness, with this culture that they have here. I wouldn't be as worried about that part of it. I just don't, A, I don't think they have the money. And B, I just don't think it works with those three receivers. I just don't think there's enough touches to go around. I really don't. I mean, they were trying to trade him. He was making, what was he making? Something like 11 or so. So he was making, he had $11 million signing bonus and a $4.5 million option bonus. Anyway, they couldn't move him. Nobody wanted to take that salary off their hands.
Right.
He's probably going to get a multi-year deal with wherever he goes, I would think, whoever brings him in. I'm just trying to think of some teams that would be candidates for this. Buffalo, I mentioned that one that Pat Leonard reported. Not Miami. New England?
That's a possibility also. But does DeAndre want to go there to play with Mac Jones?
Yeah,
I think DeAndre wants to put himself in a situation with a team that is viewed as a legitimate Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about it, can you imagine DeAndre with Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson? Although Denver is loaded with receivers right now, but Sean Payton is a no-nonsense coach. Sean Payton wouldn't put up with some of the antics of DeAndre Hopkins, okay?
Yeah.
Kansas City, Andy Reid doesn't shy away from potential problems.
No, you're right about that.
I wouldn't look past Kansas City right now either. I wouldn't look past any four of those teams in AFC West.
Yeah.
I wouldn't look past Buffalo is a prime landing place. The Jets have everything they want in receivers. I don't think they're going to go out and disrupt that. They've spent money this offseason on receivers. Garrett Wilson emerged as the offensive rookie of the year. Let's see, who else? New Orleans, maybe.
Well, they still have Olave. Michael Thomas is still there, right?
Yeah, but Michael Thomas in recent years hasn't been able to stay healthy.
He's always hurt. Chicago, would he value Justin Fields that much? I feel like he wants to be with the more established guy.
I don't think so. Minnesota just drafted another Njigba to go along with not Njigba. Minnesota just drafted a receiver to go along with Jefferson.
To go with Jefferson. Yeah.
Detroit.
Seattle just drafted a Detroit.
Seattle drafted Njigba. They have Lockett and DJ Metcalf.
He's got Carolina. He's from South Carolina, for what it's worth. Played at Clemson. I'm just throwing the Panthers out there for that reason. It's only geographical. That's the only hook, really.
I don't see Tampa being a destination. You still have Mike Evans there. You have Chris Godwin.
No.
Plus,
Baltimore?
I don't think. Would John Harbaugh take on that situation?
I think he would.
I wouldn't put it past John Harbaugh to give that a serious look, to be honest.
Yeah, Baltimore could make some sense, and I know he likes Lamar.
Yep. And if you put him with Lamar, and who did they draft? Didn't they just draft a receiver in the first round this year? Was it a receiver they drafted?
They did take a receiver. Yeah, they did. Let me pull it up right now.
Let's see. They took Zay Flowers out of Boston College.
That's right. BC, yeah.
Okay, and let's see. Look at Baltimore's receiving core right now.
They've added
Odell Beckham.
They added Beckham and Aguilar, right?
Aguilar also. Yep.
Still, I mean, I wouldn't discount them. I wouldn't count them out of this.
I wouldn't count them out. Let's see who else. Who else is a prime candidate here? The Rams, maybe.
Boy, if I'm him, I'm looking at them probably heading the wrong way. And Stafford, he's so beat up at this point.
I would rule out Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville has the receiving core they want,
especially with Ridley too.
Ridley coming up. Yeah. Tennessee still looking for a receiver.
Tennessee would make a lot of sense, but does he want to play with Tannehill and then rookies, basically?
There you go. See, right now, Tennessee's biggest receiver is
Treylon Burks, who I like, actually. Yeah,
I love Treylon Burks.
Yeah, like him. Pittsburgh.
Kenny Pickett. Pittsburgh needs a pass catcher. They need somebody to stretch the field.
Let me throw one more in there. I'm just thinking about this. Who was his quarterback in Houston? Right? Didn't he have Deshaun Watson for a little bit?
Ooh.
So is Cleveland an option here?
Ooh, yeah. Let's see. What is Cleveland working with right now? Cleveland has on their roster in terms of pass catchers, Amari Cooper, Marquise Goodwin, Elijah Moore, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Ooh, that's tough to crack that. I think DeAndre's better than all of them, but Cleveland has their money spent on receivers. I don't know. But if Deshaun has any clout with that organization, could be.
Yeah.
It's not a bad option.
Yeah. I mean, it felt like it was headed this way with him and them, and it was going to be tough. But, the only thing I would say is I really don't think it's possible that he ends up with the Eagles, but you never fully write Howie out of something. That's all I would say.
If there's a position, now could they use another upgrade? Yes. People are indifferent about Quez. I get that, but I think for a third receiver for the Eagles, you're going to find somebody more along the lines of a Zach Pascal, a middle of the road veteran, solid, and won't make any waves about how many touches he gets or lack thereof. I don't think DeAndre Hopkins is that guy. I think DeAndre wants to shine, be in a situation where he could shine. I think if you put him with Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs in Buffalo, my goodness. Diggs is going to get his, but DeAndre on the other side, man, that's added firepower Buffalo needs to contend with the Jets in that division. And Miami. I mean, Miami's loaded with pass catchers. I don't see Miami as an option. Buffalo is a great landing spot for DeAndre Hopkins. Now, what kind of cap space do they have to bring him in? That's another issue.
Yeah. Yeah. Fascinating foods for thought. Just on how about that for a news dump on a Friday, right? So to speak.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got another one. I got another good one that I don't know if you saw now. Wait until the football segment at 2:00 to bring up, but this is interesting.
Yeah.
This one is very interesting. I just saw this one across Twitter a short while ago about a former NFL receiver whose agent says there are a number of teams interested in him. And I'm thinking, why? For as good as he could be, I'm just going to wait until the football segment to bring that one up.
Okay. All right. Yeah, but I think it's interesting fodder. When you think about it. And by the way, how bad are the Cardinals going to be?
Oh, Jonathan Gann is sitting there going, I signed what?
I mean,
I agreed to what?
Oh, they are. They're not going to have Murray to start the year. I don't like Murray to begin with.
Nope.
Very few weapons on offense. Oh man, that's going to be bad. And it's just a bad situation. There was turnover in their front office again. There's all that lawsuit or the civil suit or whatever it is that's going on there between the guy McDonough who used to be there and their front office.
Oof.
I think Shane Steichen's got a way better opportunity in Indianapolis than Jonathan Gannon does in Arizona, man.
So let's see. Their pass catchers right now are Rondale Moore, Zach Pascal, Michael Wilson, who's a rookie. Zach Ertz is coming back from an injury. Let's see who else they have there. Marquise Brown. Not great, not bad, but still. Your starting quarterback could be out. Your number two, your quarterback room right now is David Blount, Jeff Driscoll, and Colt McCoy.
Yep.
That's who you're going to be talking about starting the season with. Hey, Corey Clement is still on the roster there.
Did he play for them last year? I thought he was
did a little bit. No, he did play for them a little bit last year. James Conner. So your quarterback, your franchise quarterback is not going to be ready for the season opener.
Yeah.
Your three backups combined, hey, if you put them in a category, take them or leave them, I'd leave all three.
No, I'm with you. I am with you. All right.
That team's a mess.
We'll do our NFL stuff in a second here. I did want to just touch on this, but we didn't really get a chance to do much Phillies, but they've lost 8 of the last 11, Derek. They lose 8-5 last night.
I tried to avoid you talking about the Phillies because I know how it sticks in your craw.
It's going to be short and sweet. So they're 8 games behind the Braves now in the NL East. Nola goes 6 innings, 8 hits, 5 runs, 3 home runs allowed. How about this? Austin Riley last night, Derek, So the 2 home runs, the 2 home runs that he hit, right, totaled 907 feet.
Yes.
459, 458 on his 2 home runs. Absolute moonshots last night. The frustrating part is the offense brought him back twice in the game. Bohm had the big home run. Bryce had one.
Yep.
And they just kept giving it back.
Now we talked about Turner making it that great home run that helped the Phillies get that game against Arizona in 10 innings. And we kept saying it can't be just one game.
Right.
What does he do after hitting a monster shot like that? He goes 0 for 5 last night.
Yep. He goes 0 for 5. They lose. You can never, ever point to that a game this early with them and say, that's the turnaround game.
You can't do it. You can't do it. And I know Turner's pressing at the plate. And I understand why. When you're on a lineup like this on a team that went to the World Series and you're added as a big equation to it, you want to come out guns blazing. I get it. And he's going to hit his way out of this eventually. When? See, that's the thing about baseball. You don't know when these slumps end, man. You could be 0 for 30 or 2 for 40 before you come out of a slump. But he's going to come out of it eventually. But you got to have him hitting. I mean, right now, the only consistent hitter they have in the lineup is Harper.
Right.
If you really think about it.
Yeah.
He's the only consistent hitter you have in the lineup.
The guy who is even supposed to be back at this point.
Exactly.
I know. It's crazy.
Real Muto hasn't turned it on yet. Bohm has those good games, and then all of a sudden he disappears. He's like Turner. Marsh, same way, hasn't turned it on yet. Sosa hasn't turned it on yet.
Mm-hmm.
You feel it's coming because you saw it happen last year. But you get a little bit more nervous every time it doesn't happen because at this point they keep going further south instead of further north.
Yeah, I know. They are beyond frustrating. And I'm telling you, man, this is not mediocre. This is not it's bad. It's bad when you're this many games under 500 at this point. It's bad. So
but I just keep going back to they were worse last year at this stage than they are this year in terms of record. And they turned it around in the month of June is when it really began to turn around.
They did. They were 22 and 29, and they're 23 and 27. So they're not really all that far off. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But no, there's no question that they need to get their act together. All right. So when we come back, Derek, we're gonna dip our foot into a lot of different pools here. We have the culprit of why the Patriots lost 2 OTAs. We know who it is. The Cowboys are so afraid they're going to get fined or lose a draft pick that they bagged a couple of votes. They're just like, all right, we're not doing anything. We promise. Interesting stuff from Darren Waller on the Giants coaches compared to where he's been before. Jameson Williams chimes in about his gambling suspension, and we did storylines for quarterbacks around the NFL yesterday. We're going to do rookie quarterback storylines today. We'll get into the Panthers and Bryce Young, Texans and CJ Stroud, Colts and Anthony Richardson, and the Titans with Will Levis. So we'll do all that when we come back. All right. That's what we'll dig into. All right. We'll roll. When we get back.
All right.
Eric, I'm Rob. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Let's talk about Flynn Tree Services. Flynn Tree Services is an experienced, licensed, and insured Pennsylvania tree services company that will trim or remove any unwanted trees off of your property. And they offer cost-effective solutions to any tree problems that you may face. They're experts at trimming all types of trees, and they serve southeastern Pennsylvania, South Jersey, and northern Delaware. They actually specialize in tree removal, stump grinding, as well as tree pruning. You go to their Facebook or Instagram page for more information or a sampling of their work. Give Flynn Tree Services a call at 610-850-2848, 610-850-2848, or online at flynntreeservices.com. That's flynntreeservices.com.
Heading down the shore. Have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wildwood days.
Score and save at Southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Hour number 3 of the show. Appreciate you hanging. He's Derek. I'm Rob. We're Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Hey, if you missed our interview with Mike Sealski a little bit earlier or Seth Joyner yesterday, you can always go to jakibsports.com to go back and watch the full interview, full shows, and go to JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. Either way, you can check it out. All right, so we heard that the Patriots, Derek, lost a couple of their OTAs yesterday.
Yep.
And it turns out that there was a scheduling mistake made by Joe Judge, which ultimately ended up costing the Patriots those OTAs. So it was fallen on Joe. It hasn't been a great year. The combination of Joe Judge and Matt Patricia as offensive coordinators last year and now this, and then his short stint with the Giants hasn't gone great for Mr. Judge.
You know, I wonder if he's being reprimanded for this in any way, shape, or form.
I would think so, right? They were stripped of 2 team OTAs because coaches scheduling that resulted in players spending more than the allowed time at the facility. So there you go. And Belichick got fined $50,000.
Oh, I guarantee you, he ain't happy about that.
No.
As much money as he's made.
No.
He ain't too happy about that. But then Robert Kraft will probably pay it for him.
Yeah, Kraft
He'll write it off as
here
charity.
you go. Pocket change.
He'll write it off as it'll be a charity donation or something like that. So
exactly.
Trump changed the bill. So.
Yeah. So then there's that part of it. And then there's the Cowboys piece of this where they're so afraid of getting fined for a third. Actually, it wouldn't even be a fine. So this would be, if they were found in violation this year, it'd be the 3rd straight year. They start losing draft picks if that's the case. So McCarthy has scaled everything back. They're being very careful because last year they were found guilty of too much contact during practice. Now, for people who don't know, I guess the league has independent officials at the facilities for all these teams during OTAs to monitor everything.
Right.
That's one of the ways that they know. But anyway, so McCarthy's like, yeah, I don't think you're ever going to see us do anything that's physical ever again, etc., we're not losing draft picks over this. And just
no, I don't blame. You know what? If you're going to err on the side of caution, I'd rather be overly cautious than to put myself in a position where it could hurt the organization and what we're trying to do in the immediate present or future. Draft picks are valuable commodities, man, when you're trying to rebuild a team and everybody's trying to get younger and better at the same time. And when you're giving up draft picks, especially more than one draft pick or a high draft pick, and I'm not talking about just a first round pick, I mean a second or third round pick as well. That's a lot to give up. So if Dallas, you know what, I'm never on board with Dallas with much of anything, but in this case, and that's with any team, you know what? I'd rather do less than do a lot more and be subjected to fines, penalties, and loss of draft picks.
Yep. And it's just the way it is now. And that's through the collective bargaining agreement. This is what the players wanted, and that's where it is. Yeah.
I wanted to go back to DeAndre Hopkins for just a minute.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I just saw this on Spot Track. DeAndre Hopkins earned $54.8 million with the Cardinals in 3 seasons, catching 221 passes, 17 touchdowns in that span.
Yep.
Not a lot for a guy of his caliber.
Mm-hmm.
The almost 31-year-old will look to tack on to his $111.5 million career earnings, 5th most all-time among wide receivers, which means wherever he's going or potentially thinks he can go, he's not going for cheap.
Oh,
so that'll take a number of teams out of the equation in terms of thinking that they're going to get him on the cheap, because that's not going to happen.
That would probably include the Eagles, who are pretty up against it. That's for sure. Darren Waller, who is now a New York Giant, he is now their tight end. Interesting things to say. He said he really values what the Giants are doing because they welcome input from their players. He said it's a really light atmosphere. He said it's a great atmosphere in terms of players having say in matters. He said it's very different from his previous 2 stops. Remember, he was in Baltimore. He was still trying to get his life together in Baltimore. And then, he ended up in Oakland, then Vegas, and really kind of took off with his career. But a little bit of a shot there at both Josh McDaniels and John Gruden and John Harbaugh, all catching a little shrapnel in that one from Darren Waller.
I think coaches like Nick Sirianni, and there are a number of them across the league, even Andy Reid, for as long as Andy Reid's been in the game, one of the things that Andy Reid did very well when he was in Philadelphia and continues to do so in Kansas City is listen to and implement the advice of his players. Smart coaches understand that while we basically construct how we want to do things here on the field, it is vital to listen to players talk about that. And Darren Waller went on to say, the coach has told us to write down plays that we like, and we'll see how much, what plays do you like the most? We'll try to incorporate those. I think it's vital for the chemistry and the camaraderie between coaches and players. Andy Reid always had a players committee, guys he would meet with weekly to find out the pulse of the locker room. Okay, what are guys talking about? What do they like? What can we keep doing that we're doing well? What do we need to change? And Nick Sirianni is the same way. Talk to the players. Knows when to back off on veteran players. Give them days off. Every week, his star players, Lane Johnson, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Jason Kelsey, all get time off. Even in training camp, They get time off. They've been through the rigors of this. They know how to take care of their bodies. You talk to the players. Get to know them not just as employees, but people as well. How can we make this better? What do you like doing that we can make this better? And Darren Waller and obviously Brian Daboll is one of those guys. And players gravitate towards it. And it also helps when you want to bring in free agents in the future as well. The one thing they want to know is, number one, are you winning?
Right.
Number two, what's the coach like? Hey, man, he listens to us. He gives us this, man. You know what? He treats us like men. We're not just servants. We're not just commodities we buy and sell. He actually treats us like people. That's a place I want to play. That's where I want to be.
I think you're right. I mean, this is not a good thing for the Eagles. I think the Giants hiring Daboll and Daniel Snyder finally, it looks like being out although not 100% with Josh Harris. They're now wondering if he has enough money to be able to pull this off.
Right.
But with those two things happening, both teams, one has already gotten better in the Giants, and one's going to get better with that bad owner out of there.
Yep.
So that's not necessarily a great thing for the Eagles. But yeah, I think, Dable was a really good hire, and it's going to be interesting to see how much more he can get out of Daniel Jones, especially now that Jones has a little bit more skill position players around him, including Waller, what that's going to look like. But that was interesting. Now, I saw this one, and I thought two different things. Jameson Williams, who's the receiver for the Lions, he got suspended, if you remember, Derek, and he was one of 5 players total, 4 of which were Lions, for gambling. The issue is he gambled at the facility. He didn't bet on a Lions game or anything like that, but he was inside of the confines of the Lions buildings, which is against the rules. So my first thought is, shame on him. But what he said was he didn't know about the gambling policy. Then I started to think about it. 4 of the 5 guys are Lions. Did Detroit just kind of drop the ball in informing these guys well enough? Or is it more on the players to know better than this?
I'm thinking the same thing. Somewhere along the line, somebody among the coaches may have dropped the ball or didn't emphasize it enough, because every year teams go over the do's and don'ts, according to the National Football League guidelines. And gambling is a big stickler, because we've seen other players get suspended because of gambling. Yeah. Now, either the players weren't paying attention or the coaching staff somehow didn't emphasize it enough. I'm leaning more towards the coaching side, not emphasizing it enough. You should be smart enough already to know that gambling is frowned, even though gambling now is a big part of the NFL and betting sites are a big part of their marketing structure. As an athlete, you should be smart enough to know that I can't be in a facility gambling. If you're going to do it during the off season, okay, as long as you're not betting on your team, stuff like I get it. But you can't be in your facility doing this. You have to understand that. But I guarantee you Detroit will be emphasizing that a lot more this year in light of what has happened now. But yeah, I think somebody dropped the ball, Rob.
I do too. I think, I think you could lay a little bit of this at both of them. But yeah, it's I guarantee it. I saw some of Dan Campbell up there yesterday. He was pretty adamant. Like we did talk to these guys. Now he said we're really hitting it hard now. So I, read into it what you want. Where it may end up here. All right. Yesterday we did storylines, for quarterbacks around the NFL. We didn't include Jalen Hurts because we always talk about Jalen Hurts, but looking at the rookies, Derek, and there's a chance that all of these guys could get time. I just saw a report that Anthony Richardson and Gardner Minshew right now are splitting reps with the Colts. Okay. Just to give you an example, but we're going to look at the Panthers with Bryce Young, the Texans with CJ Stroud, the Colts with Anthony Richardson, and the Titans with Will Levis. We're going to focus on those 4 guys. They were everybody except Levis went in the first round. Levis went high second round. All right, let's start with the Panthers. You have Andy Dalton down there. You have Frank Reich. They put an emphasis on trying to build up around him. What do you think about Bryce Young, how that's going to look for him, and whether or not he's going to be the starter, how much he will play?
Although he's being looked upon as the future savior of their franchise and the franchise quarterback this team has been desiring for a long time, I look at the depth of the quarterback situation there with Dalton, with Matt Carroll, and there's not a rush to put Bryce Young on the field yet. Now, granted, people are going to want to see him sooner rather than later, and it may turn out the case. Dalton may play just like he did in New Orleans last year, up and down. But there's no push right now to get him on the field. So he is going to be, if smart coaching staff would bring him along gradually in that situation, don't rush him too soon. Both sides will know when he's ready to go by how he talks, by how he studies film, by how he throws in practice sessions. They will know. The only way I think he gets on the field sooner is if Dalton gets injured. And they're not sold on Matt Carroll. I mean, Matt Carroll supposedly was a guy everybody was high on down in Carolina last year. All of a sudden now he's an afterthought because they drafted Bryce Young. You don't know what they're thinking of Matt Carroll right now as a number 3 receiver who could be your number 2 initially.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have to push Bryce. You don't have to push Bryce to get out there right away now.
Yeah, I go back and forth on this a lot. Are you better off just getting these guys the practical experience, the on-the-job training, or are they better off just waiting a little while? Look, I agree. I think you're in a spot where, because you have Andy Dalton, who is a really good veteran backup at this point in his career, you can kind of live with him a little bit if you're Frank Reich and you feel like Bryce Young hasn't made the adjustments. Now, can read into this in a lot of different ways. Frank Reich has gone overboard saying how quickly Bryce Young's picking everything up.
Yes.
And that's half the battle, is if you at least know where you're supposed to be going for him. So I think there's a chance he actually might start the season. I do think that's a possibility.
Really?
I do. I actually do. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, they traded up to get him a lot. They gave a good amount up to get up there. I do. I think he may start the season. Yeah.
See, Carolina has the pieces. When you put a rookie quarterback in there, I don't care how exceptional he may seem to be, he's got to go through growing pains of knowing what he's reading across the line of scrimmage at the NFL, how to decipher the disguises and how defenses are going to try to confuse him. You look at what Carolina did this offseason. They go out and get a Miles Sanders. They have a Chuba Hubbard running the ball. They've got pieces to win now. And the most stabilizing force in a situation where you can win now is a veteran quarterback. Now, is Andy Dalton the answer? Probably not. But he's been around the block a few times. He understands defensive schemes. He understands ghost looks when he's looking across the line of scrimmage. He knows how to pick up the hot read sooner rather than later. All of these things have to happen in a fraction of a second, and it takes a veteran quarterback in a lot of cases to be able to do that. For Bryce, no matter how exceptional he may be intelligence-wise, it's a big difference in terms of looking at collegiate defenses compared to the NFL. Mm-hmm. It's going to take him a little bit longer and go through a few more games to figure it out, more so than an Andy Dalton.
All right,
it could be the difference between winning and losing and being near the top of the division compared to being near the bottom of the division.
Well, that's where they're in a bit of an interesting spot, is they could win that division if New Orleans doesn't really. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That is the difference, I think, with them and a couple of these other teams. But let's go Houston for a minute, Derek. And they drafted C.J. Stroud. I thought they had a great draft. Will Anderson, C.J. Stroud. But Houston's backups are Case Keenum, who's 35 now.
Yep.
Davis Mills, who they've given a pretty good opportunity last year showcasing, and they still decided to take C.J. Stroud. This would appear to me, at least, to be more likely because, I mean, I think Dalton's better than anything they have there, other than, an older Keenum and, throwing into the mix the others they had there, Davis Mills.
Right.
But again, like if I'm D'Amico Ryans, who's the coach there, I have to be assured that CJ Stroud knows where he's supposed to be going with the ball, knows the plays, knows everything else that goes on, the check downs and whatnot. It's really what it amounts to. But I feel like there's more of an opportunity for him to get on the field quicker than there is even a Bryce Young with that quarterback situation.
I couldn't agree with you more. Houston finished 5-11 last year. New head coach, new excitement. The Deshaun Watson fiasco is behind them now. They have nowhere to go but up. And I think the Houston fan base will be a lot more patient because they feel they finally have a coach with a high pedigree. They have a franchise quarterback now. It's a rebuilding mode for this organization. They have a good young running back, and they added Devin Singletary as well. You have Damian Pierce and Devin Singletary. You look at the wide receiving core, nothing to write home about in terms of the wide receiving core. Amari Rodgers, who's been bounced around, Green Bay gave up on him, could end up being your number one receiver down there. I think a CJ Stroud has a lot more leeway if he starts right out of the gate to grow. People will have more patience with him down there than, let's say, Bryce Young starting for a Carolina team in a division that is wide open right now, and a team in Carolina that's built on both sides of the football to be a little bit more competitive at this stage than Houston is. Now, I will say this. I expect Houston's defense to be a lot better this year just because of the presence of DeMeco Ryans running that defense. But in terms of overall, hey, give us some time here. In the category of give us some time here, I think Houston has a lot more leeway than Carolina does.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. Let's go to the Colts. This one is, I think this is where maybe the biggest challenge lies for Anthony Richardson to get on the field right away.
Yeah.
The Gardner Minshew is the backup there, or whatever he is. He might, he's the other quarterback there. He obviously knows Shane Steichen's system very well, and Steichen and he have a lot of familiarity with one another.
Yeah.
I think that may give Gardner Minshew a slight lean in terms of an advantage.
It will now, and rightfully so, because of the relationship Steichen had. But I do think Richardson's going to press him. I think Richardson is that quarterback in the Jalen Hurts mode that they want in Indianapolis to run that offense eventually. The ability to step up and take off, the ability to stretch a field, freeze a defense with his ability to do more than just throw a football. In Indianapolis, they only won 4 games last year. They're not pressed to win right away. The fan base understands it's going to be a maturation process here. I do think Minshew gets the nod because of his relationship and his understanding of Shane Steichen's offense. But if Anthony Richardson is ready to go early in the season, knowing that if you put him in there, you have to give us time, meaning this season, to watch him grow and mature. I think Indianapolis, with their situation quarterback-wise and a new coach in a new direction, have a lot of room in terms of a fan base and the media there not being overly critical of the product they're looking on the field.
Okay.
Looking at on the field. Yeah.
No, gotcha. All right, moving along. Here we go to Will Levis, who many thought would go in the first round. He fell into the second round. He steps into a position where, and I'm really surprised we haven't heard any kind of heavy trade requests for Malik Willis from his camp, but he steps into a spot with Ryan Tannehill starting. They took Malik Willis, I believe, in the 3rd round last year, and now here's Levis. This is a little more crowded here. I would say Tannehill's going to really have to struggle, or the team generally gets off to a slow start and you're looking for a spark before you see Levis, I would guess. I think he needs some grooming and some sitting behind someone who's done it before. I think this would be best served with him not playing this year.
Tennessee is right now is Ryan Tannehill's team. They're paying him way too much money to sit him. And Tennessee's another team. You look at the talent they let go, i.e. A.J. Brown. Look at the talent that team has let go. And they understand they were, 7-10 last year? They understand that it's going to take some time. I don't think Will Levis is going to push Ryan Tannehill. I think Will Levis gets on the field only if Tannehill gets injured. And let's face it, Tannehill is susceptible to get injured. I mean, Tennessee's paying Tannehill $29.5 million this year.
Oof.
You think they're going to sit him on the bench?
I can't believe they haven't restructured that, man.
Yeah, you think they're going to sit him?
No.
No, there's no way on God's green earth that they're going to sit Tannehill making that kind of money. And Will Levis, the fact that he went from being possibly a top 10 quarterback to being drafted in the 2nd round tells me that Indianapolis took him as the quarterback waiting in the wings. I just don't see how he gets on the field much. But Tannehill is one of those guys, could end up on the injury list at any given moment.
Yeah, or they just don't start off well. I mean, I don't love their offense to begin with.
I don't either. And Tannehill only played in 12 games last year. He had 13 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 94.6 QB rating, threw for over 2,500 yards. So Tannehill's Tannehill's not a quarterback that everybody's just afraid of when a defense lines up.
No.
He's an okay quarterback. You know, he's shown he can be good at times, but he's also shown that he can be very inconsistent at times as well.
Yeah, no question.
But the fact that you're paying him almost $30 million a year, there is absolutely no way you're sitting him on a bench coming out of the gate. Now, at what point does Tennessee decide this season is a loss? I think the only way Levis gets on the field, outside of Tannehill getting injured, is if Tennessee gets to a point in the season that says, this season is a loss. Now we start preparing for the future, which is Will Levis.
Well, yeah. So they're in a division that's got the Colts, got the Texans. While I think Jacksonville is vastly improved, Jacksonville's not great yet. So I guess Tennessee, in theory, could hang around, and make this thing interesting for a while.
Right.
So I don't, that. And then if that's the case, if Tannehill's playing decent and there's a lot of ifs here, but if Tannehill's playing decent and Derrick Henry looks like Derrick Henry, then if that's the case, I would, let Levis learn a little bit. I think may end up happening, Derek, before camp. That Malik Willis is likely to get dealt, I would think, at some point.
You think so? I would keep him on as a number 3.
Yeah.
You have him on a rookie contract. He knows the system. And let's face it, a few teams got down to the number 3 quarterback last year.
Yeah.
Do you bring another journeyman off the street to learn your offense? I think they keep Willis at least one more season, unless somebody desperately needs a quarterback and Tennessee says, "Hey, we can get another 6th or 7th round draft pick for him that we could use on the back end next year." I don't see them moving him. He's not costing them a lot of money financially,
right?
And I think he's the kind of young man who won't make waves. They don't have to worry about him making waves. He's a consummate team player. And as much as it may pain him to have to take a backseat eventually to Levis, if he doesn't pick his game up significantly, I think he'll still be there.
Yeah. I don't know if you read any of these reports, but there are some concerns that Josh Harris and his group may not be quite there financially. He needs to adjust the deal financing, is the way it's termed, in order to get approval to purchase the Commanders. So basically, this report came from Forbes magazine, or Forbes.com now. Reported in December that Daniel Snyder had multiple offers, whatever. His net worth was well more than $4 billion, blah, blah, blah. But now reports say that Harris needs to adjust the financing of the final deal to purchase the team for $6.05 billion. This Forbes.com also reports that some NFL owners are concerned about the structure of the deal, which has an extensive number of limited partners and large amount of debt. The NFL current limit for debt tied to a purchase of a team is $1.1 billion. According to this, Harris's deal includes $1.1 billion in secured debt and $1 billion in unsecured debt. Whatever. I'm not going to pretend to know all the ins and the outs of this because I don't lie to you. Yeah. But nonetheless, it just seems like he's got to maybe tighten things up a little bit, or maybe this thing doesn't go down.
I wonder how much of this debt ceiling that we're talking about is Harris considering. The man has his hands in a number of teams across the board, as we know.
Sixers, Devils.
Oh, my goodness.
A little bit of the Steelers, which you would have to, dissolve, and European soccer as well.
Or is it a number of guys he's bringing in on his partnership? We know Magic Johnson is part of this, and we know Magic Johnson has his hands in a lot of things. But we've also known that according to what we've read, Magic Johnson has been very successful in business ventures in his life after football.
Yep.
So I wonder if it's some of his other money guys who things are starting to surface that the NFL are looking at and say, "Oh, whoa, this is a red flag right now."
Yeah, I don't know. But it's one to keep your eye on. And just when you thought you got rid of Daniel Snyder,
he may be back.
He's like the in a horror movie, the bad guy. He keeps returning, man.
Yep.
You can't get rid of him. All right, we come back. We'll swing back to the NBA stuff. Some interesting numbers here on Colorado football tickets.
Yes,
which I found fascinating. We'll talk about the ACC and the way some of their money's being divvied up, all kinds of stuff in store. We got, again, good birthdays and movies for you also. So you don't want to go anywhere.
And why is that, Rob?
Because May's the best month ever.
Thank you.
Yes.
I didn't want to say it, but I just want to make sure you understand it.
You're welcome. Yes, that's Derek Gunn. I'm Rob Ellis. We're Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. All right, let's talk about Razor technology and hybrid work, because the future of work isn't remote or in person. It's a hybrid model. In facing this new reality, businesses must reimagine their workplaces to align with the preferences and needs of modern employees. Razor technology helps businesses create a workplace that gives their teams flexibility in choosing how and where they put in their hours. Online platforms for communication and collaboration, combined with secure and adaptable mobile devices, are enabling hybrid meeting experiences that are nearly on par with in-person events, so everyone can feel like they are part of the conversation. Employees with strong social connections with their team report better well-being, higher productivity, and stronger retention rates. Razor technology helps growing organizations adapt to hybrid environments with industry-leading digital tools and insightful guidance that promotes efficiency and workplace satisfaction. You can learn more by calling 866-797-3282, 866-797-3282, or visit them online at razor-tech.com. That's razor-tech.com.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wild wood days.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome back, everybody. Derek Gunn.
What did you just do? What was that?
You know what I did actually during the break? I don't think I've done it since last year, since it was last summer or whatever. I think you do the same thing sometimes too. I walked out on the deck just to get a little sun, get a little sun on me to sort of jolt me awake a little bit. So I'm good to go.
I actually did not do that today. Because I'm upstairs, the heat rises.
Yeah.
So it's a little warm up here. So I've got enough warmth up here. Gotcha. I did not, but in exactly 28 minutes from now,
you'll be doing that.
I will be outside, soaking in the rays and working on my tan to even this dull color of mine.
I hear you. All right. So a couple things to dig into here. We mentioned that the Celtics won last night. Now it's 3-2. They go back to Miami for game 6 tomorrow. Celtics are 2.5-point favorites in that game. And if I will say this, if they don't, the Heat don't get Gabe Vincent back and they don't get Bam Adebayo playing decent, they're going back to Boston for a game 7. I guarantee you that.
I think right now, Miami, as confident as they were after game 3, is doing a lot of soul searching. I honestly believe that Miami thought, even though they said it on the surface, well, it ain't over until it's over. Boston is a great team. When the way they blew Miami out, the way they blew Boston out in that game 3, I bet you Miami's thinking, we got them right where we want them. Yep. They quit.
Yep.
And then Boston gets one. Yeah, there's nobody can beat us again. Boston goes home and does the same thing in game 5 they did in game 4. Now, Miami's thinking, we got to step it up. And losing Vincent doesn't help because it's not guaranteed he's going to play in game 6.
Oh, no.
That's a big loss for them. Huge loss.
When
you figure they've already lost Hero, they've lost Oladipo, and now Vincent is down as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge for Miami, man. And now you're thinking, we got to close this out game 6. We got to do it in front of our home fans. We can't afford to go back to Boston for a game 7. Dude, now the pressure is definitely square on the chest of the Miami Heat right now.
Oh, 100%. And then it gets crazy if they win Saturday and you're going back to Boston for 7. It gets nuts after that. So you alerted me to this.
Yep.
Colorado, University of Colorado, who hired Deion Sanders in the offseason to be their head coach. They had been a mess the last couple of years. They had been terrible. He's created a lot of interest, a lot of buzz. That's for sure. But I didn't know these numbers for season tickets or opening game tickets where the Buffaloes play Nebraska. So what are some of these numbers? What are the tickets going for, just to show the interest that the people have in Colorado?
Colorado, which won one game last year, just because of the presence of Deion Sanders right now, has a waiting list of people trying to get tickets for the season opener, which is the home opener, I believe, against Nebraska. No, for their home opener, which is against Nebraska.
Yep.
Tickets are going for $400 a ticket, way more than what they went for in any years in the recent past. The tickets are selling now. The $400, get this, is more than the Kansas City Chiefs home opening tickets, more than Nebraska's home opener by 22 times more than Nebraska's home opener, more than the Celtics and Heat Game 5 tickets, and more than the Golden Knights and Stars Game 4 tickets.
Oh, my God.
Deion Sanders is a money-making machine.
Yeah.
And that's why Colorado knew they had a winner when they got him.
Jeez.
Think about this. It's only May. They have a waiting list for tickets for their home opener to see the new Colorado Buffaloes play.
I'm shocked. Like, that is crazy. That's a lot of money, man, for an awful, frankly, what was an awful program, awful product last year, that many people are interested. That's the thing. He's going to get a lot of rope in terms of wins and losses because he always creates buzz. Always.
Yes. And even if they have a losing season, anything they win above one game is a plus for that program right now.
Agreed.
And, and the fact that Deion is so visible, he does something that no other college coach, a pro coach for that matter, does. If you look on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, every day you see an inside look at him sitting at his desk, talking to coaches, talking to his sons, talking to other family members, talking to players. You get inside looks at him having discussions and motivational speeches with his players on the practice field. He told me, hey, we're coming. And I brought my Louis Vuitton with me.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think young players, especially future Buffaloes, are impressed by this? So a school that was struggling to get 2- and 3-star athletes are now elevating to getting 5- and 4-star athletes, just like that, because of the presence of Deion Sanders.
Yeah, well said. Very well said. Amazing. I didn't pick up this either. The what's going on with the ACC and their finances.
I find this interesting. It says beginning in the fall of 2024, ACC schools that qualify for revenue-generating postseason competitions like March Madness, college football playoffs, other postseason things and such, now will be receiving a bigger portion of the money
rather than
revenues, the revenues that's generated more so than what they've done traditionally, which is if 1 or 2 teams make big purses, it's like divided evenly among all the conference teams to keep a balance.
Yep.
Now, last year, the ACC generated $617 million in revenue. The SEC generated $802 million of revenue, and the Big Ten generated $845.6 million of revenue.
My God.
So when you think about it in the past, the cream of the crop in those teams are helping out the other teams in their conference. Now these better teams are going to be rewarded, and I think rightfully so.
Yeah.
If you're good enough to get up there, you should be rewarded. Now these schools are going to be rewarded a little bit bigger piece of the pie, which they can sprinkle down to better improve other sports that don't generate a lot of money for the universities.
Well, I think that is fair, honestly. Like, and I get it. Some of the smaller schools are gonna say, well, here we go, the haves and the have-nots. Well, I mean, look, those schools are generating a ton of coin. Like,
no question.
Sorry, they have every right to it.
The Alabama, the football programs and basketball programs at a number of prominent universities have carried the other sports teams for a long time.
Yeah.
And let's face it, there's probably certain sports at certain schools that wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the prominence of their football and basketball teams.
Yeah.
So now it's going to be interesting to see, because what we've seen in recent years also, we've seen universities drop like lower tier sports in cost-cutting measures. And I wonder if that's going to happen even more so now. A lot of kids who might play lacrosse, rugby, things like that, might be squeezed in terms of schools they'll be able to go to now to play those sports if they so desire.
Yeah, I saw it happen at Temple. They've gotten rid of. They had a very good baseball program for a long time. They got rid of their baseball program. There was other stuff that went by the wayside too, which was really too bad. But yeah, that very well could be happening, Derek. It wouldn't surprise me in the least if that were the case. All right, so a couple other odds and ends, and then we'll get to the birthdays. I thought this was interesting. So John Gruden, it's kind of resurfaced to an extent. He was working with Derek Carr. I don't know if you saw this past week.
Okay.
As New Orleans was installing their new offense during the offseason workouts, the Saints brought in Gruden to help Carr and the offensive coaching staff under Dennis Allen, according to NOLA.com. So, maybe this is a way, maybe it's the sort of the first step to him possibly getting back into the league. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of hard feelings. Obviously, he still has a lawsuit, I think, against the NFL, but maybe this is his way to get back. Who knows?
John Gruden was well respected for a long time in the NFL ranks, but I think the fact that email surfaced, especially when he made a derogatory reference to the head of the NFL PA, who's an African American.
Yep.
I don't know if teams want to touch him right now, because as soon as you bring him back, what's the first thing you're going to say? Oh, you brought a racist back. No matter how you look at it, that's how it's going to be viewed.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if a number of teams are going to want to do that. I do think John Gruden will eventually ease his way back into the game. I don't know if it'll be this quickly, though, to be honest.
I agree. I agree with you. I mean, look, I don't know what his end game is. He has made a lot of money in his life too. I don't know. But he strikes me, Derek, and I know he sat out a long time with that ESPN gig, but if he's not doing something like either in broadcasting or coaching, he's a lifer type. Like he's got to be around it. It's in his blood. It's got to be driving him crazy not to be a part of it.
I would imagine so, because he's been such a workaholic his whole, adult life. But and we don't know what the buyout settlement was for him with Oakland, but I guarantee it's enough money for him to sit on for a long time.
Yes.
Whatever that buyout was. I mean, they were paying him what, $100 million over 10 years or something like that.
Yes,
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So I do believe it's enough money for him to get through life's trying time right now.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. You get that itch when you're so used to being busy, and especially when you live, eat, sleep, and breathe football. You just want to be a part of it in any capacity, in any way, shape, or form. And it probably is eating away at him. But if I'm the people around him, his inner circle, John, you just got to be a little bit more patient, man. It may take you another year. Now's the time we can start putting feelers out. But if it doesn't happen right now, just be patient, man. It'll happen down the road. People will forget soon enough.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, let's hit some birthdays here, and then we'll swing it back to
Rob, I hate to say this, but I don't know if you've been paying attention. We haven't had a bad day yet this month in terms of birthdays and movies. I don't know if there's any other month we can say that, Rob. I mean, I'm just being honest with you.
Okay.
I mean, think about it. The movie selections have been deep. The birthday names, the prominent names.
Is your birthday celebration still going on? Are we carrying it over to this weekend too? Or what happened? Are we still doing this?
No, it's over. Unfortunately, it's
all
over.
right. All right.
But next weekend, because we didn't get to do it last weekend, next weekend we're planning the fishing trip off Wildwood.
There you go. Okay.
Do some flounder and sea bass fishing next Saturday.
Good. I like it. I like it. Like to hear it. All right. Birthdays. John Wayne, the Duke.
Yeah.
This day, 1907, born Marion Morrissey was his real name, but made over 140 films, Derek.
Yes.
In his lifetime. But yeah, 1907, John Wayne was born.
It's funny. If you think, if you're sitting in a room of 100 people and you ask them, what's your favorite John Wayne movie? I'm sure majority of them would all come up with a different movie.
Yeah.
For me, it's one of his older films that came out in 1952 called The Quiet Man.
Oh, me too, man.
Are you serious?
I used to watch that I don't know why, but my dad and I would watch it every Christmas Eve.
I still watch it.
It's my all-time favorite John Wayne movie, and it's not even close.
And he won an Academy Award for True Grit, which was a really good movie. But I saw that movie years ago, man. It had to be the first time I ever paid attention to that movie had to be back in the mid-90s.
Yep.
And it was John Wayne, and it was like a grainy colorized movie.
It's in color. It's in color. Yeah.
But I sat there and I watched, and you sit there and you chuckle because it has comedy in it. It has humor in it.
Yeah, yeah.
And for people who don't know about it, it's a movie where John Wayne goes back to his hometown where he's born in Ireland.
Yeah, he's a former boxer.
He's a former boxer.
He's from Pittsburgh.
Yeah. And he quit boxing because I think he killed somebody in the ring.
Killed a man in the ring. His conscience couldn't take it anymore. And he had to get a change of scenery. Yeah.
So he goes back to Ireland where he's born, and he falls in love with this beautiful redhead.
Maureen O'Hara.
Mm-hmm. And he has to go through the brother wants to challenge him every time.
Will Danaher.
Danaher. You remember that? Will Danaher. And all the town's talking. They know the fight is coming between these two. And when the fight happens, everybody stops what they're doing. All the jobs, they're running down the street. They're following them up and down the street. Dude, it's a great movie. And every time I see it, I still watch it.
I agree with you. Yep. It's a great movie. It is my all-time favorite. It's not even close. The Michelino Flynn, the little leprechaun guy.
Yeah, man.
Fun. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Good choice. Helena Bonham Carter, the actress, is 47 today.
Yep.
Stevie Nicks, the great Stevie Nicks of Fleetwood Mac and solo fame. She is 75 today.
Did you know Stevie Nicks is one of my favorite artists of all artists?
I didn't know that.
See, that would surprise you, wouldn't it?
I think she has one of the coolest voices that you will ever hear.
That raspy voice, yes.
Yeah, it's great. She's great.
Dude, do you know every day I'm outside working, one of the first songs I play is her song Gypsy?
Oh, Gypsy's awesome.
I could listen to that song over and over again, man.
Oh, man.
My wife was like, enough already, please.
Again,
please.
like our commercial that we run again.
This is like 10 years.
Yeah.
Really? You're still playing? And I'm like, shh. Because you know me, I'll start singing certain parts of the song, certain lyrics of the song. I chime in, and my family's like this.
What's he doing? We can't take him anywhere. Can't even take him out in the backyard. Yeah. I like that one. Lauren, speaking of voices, Lauren Hill.
Oh my goodness. 5-time Grammy winner. Oh, man, can she sing?
48 today. Yeah. I just wish she had, she kind of stepped away, and I wish she had stayed in it, man. She was just so good. So good. So talented. But she was awesome, man. Miles Davis, incredible musician. Born on this day, 1926.
Yes, man.
Amazing. Good day actually for artists here. How about Lenny Kravitz? Lenny Kravitz is 59 years old.
And that's something. I can't believe he's 59. Jeez.
He looks he looks like he's 29.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's very regimented, like diet, exercise. He's hardcore, man. Yeah, he's hardcore. But he's 59 today. Pam Grier, 74.
Stop right there, Rob. You don't have to ask you back in the day. Strong?
Correct. Very. You go like 70s Pam Grier. You know what I'm talking about.
I don't know nothing. I ain't saying nothing. No,
yes,
I don't. I ain't saying nothing. No.
Yes.
Correct. You're not getting me in trouble. I got Memorial Day weekend. You would not get me in trouble. I ain't saying a word.
I'll say it strong. All right. Sally Ride, who was first female astronaut, 51, born in 1951. We lost her pretty young, sadly. Peter Cushing was born on this day, 1913. We're going back a little ways there.
Frankenstein Dracula.
Yeah.
The tone says when it comes to Pam Grier, very strong. He put it all caps.
Yes.
Very strong.
Correct. Yes. I'm telling you, if you don't know, go do a little research. You'll know.
Kevin Sabar said, Rob, very red. I love it.
It does not take much. It does not take much to get
Oh, my goodness.
Hank Williams Jr. is 74 years old today.
Yeah, man.
James Arness was born on this day, 1923.
Marshall Matt Dillon from Gunsmoke.
That's right. Yep. One of the iconic roles in TV. Levon Helm of the band and also an actor was a great musician and singer as well. He was born in 1940. Matt Stone, one of the co-creators of South Park.
Yep.
Is 52 today. Bobcat Goldthwait, the comedian, actor, director, is 61 today. Peggy Lee, the singer, 1920. Man. Al Jolson, 1886. Aldo Gucci, who started the Gucci brand, 1905.
Well, he was a son of the dad who started. He
took it to like a different level, I thought.
Yeah, he ran a company from 1953 to 1986.
Okay.
Yeah, so the son took it to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jay Silverheels, the Native American actor, was born on this day. He was Tano back in the day in 1912.
The original Lone Ranger series.
Yep. Philip Michael Thomas, a part of the iconic Crockett and Tubbs duo from Miami Vice.
Yeah, man.
I love those two, man. That was a great show. That was so 80s.
He's 74 now.
He's another one. He looks like he's probably 50. Jack Kevorkian, born on this day, 1928. No, just saying, he was born on this day.
Known as Dr. Death.
Dr. Death, yes. Micah Parsons, he's 24 years old today.
Yep.
Brent Musburger, you are looking live at 84 years old today.
That's right.
Still going strong.
Brent.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
Brent's still going strong. Any other birthdays you have? If not, we will move on to the movies.
You got Margaret Collins, who is well known for her work on As the World Turns. She was also in the movie Gossip Girl. She's 65. Zola Budd, the great South African middle and long distance runner and Olympic gold medalist, is 57 today.
Okay. Not great runners. Yep.
Let's see. Jeannie Francis. If you were a soap opera aficionado, you automatically know the name Jeannie Francis. General Hospital, Days of Our Lives, All My Children, Young and the Restless. She's been in all of them. She is 61 today.
Mm-hmm.
And a quarterback I used to like watching back in the day for the old Houston Oilers, Dan Pastorini, is 74 today.
Yeah, he was a wild man too. Off the
he was. Woo.
Yep, Dan Pastorino. That's a good one. All right, we go movies now. X-Men: The Last Stand, 2006.
Yep.
Menace to Society, 1993. Yeah, man. One of the great ones. Hangover 3. Or is it 2? 2011 was 2.
Yep,
Yeah.
2. Yep.
I think we did 3 yesterday.
I believe so.
Speaking of John Wayne, Big Jake, 1971.
Yep.
2017, Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm not even sure which one it was at that point.
Dead Men Tell No Tales.
There you go.
That's
There
the
you
one.
go.
Yep.
What did I miss? That's it. That's all I have for movies.
1995, the Casper Friendly Ghost movie came out. The Little Mermaid, the new version of the Little Mermaid that's been I've seen these advertisements every day, comes out today.
Okay.
The new version of it. And Shanghai Noon with Jackie Chan. Remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
Jackie Chan and one of the Wilson. Was it Owen Wilson? I believe it was.
It was
Owen?
It was Owen, not Luke, right?
I think it was Owen. Came out in 2000.
Okay.
And so that's it.
Yeah, that's it. All right. One thing we didn't get to, and I
Yes.
wanted to throw it. It's an eagle question kind of out the door. We kicked this around a little bit on Birds 365, but I was curious what your opinion was of this. Biggest defensive loss. Would you say it would be Hargrave, CJ GJ, TJ Edwards, Kaiser White, Marcus Epps, whomever? Who would you say will be the biggest loss for the upcoming season for the Eagles on the defensive side?
I would say no question, TJ Edwards.
Okay.
I would say TJ Edwards. He was the brain trust of that defense. He solidified that defense. TJ Edwards was his only liability, as we talked about, was in coverage, but he did everything else so well. Jonathan Gannon trusted him wholeheartedly in terms of calling the defense. I think, some people might say CJ, but I think TJ Edwards, because of his durability, was definitely the biggest loss this past offseason.
It kind of feels like that's one of those that going into the season, we're not going to talk about him much. But once the season starts, there's going to be games where you're like, who they really miss? They really miss TJ Edwards. It just has that sort of sense to it, doesn't it?
No question about it. And I think they're going to feel that loss to a certain degree. No question. And I want to ask you, I forgot to get this one in. I can't believe I forgot this one. You'll love this one because I want to hear your reaction. This came across on Pro Football Talk, I believe it is. Come on now, stop moving around. Agent claims NFL teams have genuine interest in Antonio Brown. The receiver last played in the NFL early in 2022 when he walked off the field basically and quit on his team.
Yeah.
But as of right now, according to the agent, I'm assuming his agent, there's a genuine buzz about him possibly joining another team. Your thoughts?
Okay. I don't buy it. He's trying to make a comeback and play in the, I don't even know what it is, the AFL or something. Not the AFL.
Supposedly he's supposed to play a game this weekend.
He's supposed to play a game this weekend. I think he has. It's hard to do in that league because they'll forgive a lot of things if you're talented. He's so toxic, Derek.
Yes.
That I honestly do not believe, even with injuries, the teams would touch this guy. I don't buy it. I think he's done.
I think he needs help, to be honest.
I do too.
I've seen him on former players' podcasts, listening to him talks, slurred speech, stuff like that, and some of the stuff he says. And then when the interviewer tries to get their point across to him about, don't you see where you messed up? He doesn't get it.
No.
He doesn't get it.
I think he's in need of a lot of help, and I think he's dangerous. I think he's a societal danger too. I think it's just, I don't think that story ends well. And I don't think at this point, right. I mean, you think about his last moment on an NFL field was stripping off his uniform and walking off the field. Like, you can't do that, man. You just can't do it.
You can sit and pout all you want, keep the uniform on, respect the organization. He took it off piece by piece, walked and waved to the crowd as he walked off the field.
Yeah. And think about the amount of bridges that he burned with like Tom Brady tried to give him chances, second chances. And it was, he's dumped on everybody who's ever tried to help him. It feels like over the last however many years. So I just, I don't buy it. I think it's agent speak, agent trying to drum some interest up. He could be broke. I don't know. I don't know anything about his personal life or his financial situation. So it's too bad.
You also hear some of the comments supposedly made about Brady's wife.
Yeah, it's classless. It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. All right, man. We are out of time. I want to thank everybody in the chat. Great job, everybody.
Time flies when you're having fun.
everybody listening. Tone, excellent work producing all week. We appreciate it, Tone. Don't go anywhere. You got 3 hours with Dan Cilio and the National Football Show. So everybody have a great, wonderful, relaxing, safe weekend. And Memorial Day, let's remember the folks who paid the ultimate price. But for Derek, I'm Rob. We will see you guys next week. Thanks for hanging out with us. We are Sports Take.
Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean.